Strap into your seats and get ready. It's time for the Mortarpod.
Hey, this is Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com. Welcome to this week's episode of the Mortarpod. This week, Jake and I continue to go over the comparisons between Gatecrash and Return to Ravnica creatures. We don't quite finish yet, but we're making good progress, and there's just a lot of creatures we had to cover. It's really entertaining though, and it's fun, and we're having a good time evaluating them. I just want to remind you that you can watch the video for this podcast at SeemsGoodMagic.com. If you click on draft videos, it's right alongside all of our draft videos. We also have a Twitter account at SeemsGoodMagic, so if you want to know when we're live streaming, if you want to know when we've uploaded a new draft video, just follow us at SeemsGoodMagic. So I also want to remind you of our graphic artist for our website. If you like the design, his name is Scott Varencamp, and you can see his website and resume at varencamp.com, and that's VEHRENKAMP.com. So enjoy this podcast. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. If you'd like to email me, it's mortarpod at syemsgoodmagic.com. And if you write me there, I will definitely write back to you. So thanks and enjoy.
All right, we're rolling. Here we go. So last week we left off doing some Gatecrash creatures. We're just kind of going through the list, and we're kind of evaluating it alongside Return to Ravnica. And we're just evaluating the creatures right now. We've discovered a lot, I think, from all the guilds.
Yeah.
We're going to have to, at the end, we're going to have to review all the guilds. But, I mean, we'll be able to do that a lot faster. But for now, we're going card by card and just talking about how good it is in Limited, how good it is in Constructed, just like our overall evaluation of the card. We really want to like discuss what synergies when we get access to full block that we can find between Return to Ravnica and Gatecrash. So that's our goal. And we did white. We're going to start on blue this week. So Clinging Anemones. Now this is a card we actually just really don't like, but it's interesting. I mean, it's certainly playable.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be something that should play well with its guild because it evolves pretty much everything. 1/4 in Simic evolves a lot of things. I think the fact that it has evolved isn't that like helpful, you know, because it's always
like
just
a bigger defender isn't exactly what you want. Like Croconura is good because it can block flyers and then get in later.
Yeah.
But this one unfortunately doesn't really do much for the Simic strategy except for evolve. So like you can play it as a almost sure thing evolve. But it's got to be like turn 4 that you play it. You know, if you've already evolved your Croconura once or your elusive Crassus once, it's out of range already. You know.
Yeah.
If you've gotten your Cloudfin Raptor to 3 power, then that's out of range too. So
that's true. It's just it's not good enough, unfortunately.
No.
So it's not a very high pick. I think we played it before, but usually, I mean, you're short on playables when you have to reach for your Clinging Anemones.
It's like a better Dimir card than it is a Simic card.
If you're short on creatures and you have some early evolve, then you might have you can totally play it. And it's good randomly against certain decks. I mean, if a deck
doesn't like to see it.
A lot of it stops like Wojak Halberdiers and Daring Skyjack, so it can be useful. Cloudfin Raptor is the next card. This is a really early pick, and it's sometimes it's like almost a strategy in itself. It seems like
if you get enough of them.
Yeah, like have you played against someone who has like the back-to-back Cloudfin Raptors, or we've done the back-to-back Cloudfin Raptors? That's really powerful, and it adds up super fast if you have good follow-ups. So Cloudfin Raptor is an excellent card, and it's a very early pick. I would say between 1 and 4.
Yeah.
You're going to be picking Cloudfin Raptor because it really is that strong. And it's amazing how many abilities they wrapped into one. And the only reason being because it's a 0/1, but It gets bigger so fast.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Bird mutant as well. Interesting creature type.
It is kind of like a 1/2 if you've got the right curve.
And Simic's actually interesting in this set because all of the creatures are odd creature types, right?
Mhm.
Within the Simic guild.
They're like mashup creature types, most of them.
Yeah, so some of them have really cool combinations.
Hmm.
All right, Diluvian Primordial is the next one. How would we rate this amongst all the Primordials?
It's the lowest, in my opinion. It's the least relevant.
Yeah, I could agree with that. It's right alongside maybe like Sylvan Primordial.
I think Sylvan's actually okay. 6/8 is strong, and you get an extra land for it. It's also got reach, is that right?
Yeah.
So it can block everything the turn it comes out.
I mean,
I think it is like...
they're both just not that great
Yeah.
compared to the other three. Luminate, Sepulchral, and Molten.
Those are much more relevant
Yeah.
than Limited.
How do we pronounce that? It can't be Sepulchral. Sepulchral?
We should just look it up.
Look it up. We're gonna find out right now. Just go to dictionary or what?
Yeah.
We're gonna find out what sepulchral means.
Of or relating to a tomb, and it's sepulchral.
Sepulchral. Sepulchra. Sepulchra. Weird. Okay. Sepulchra.
what?
That's what I see. Or Kruh?
No, there's an L after it. Krull. Right?
Oh, okay. I guess I'm too far from there. Oh, weird. On his... That's really
Here.
weird. But, no, it's right. So it's sepulchral?
Yeah, play it. It's not working.
It's not working? Oh, no.
Sepulchral.
Oh, you got it.
Sepulchral.
Okay.
Sepulchral.
Interesting. Okay, now we know.
The more you know.
Sepulchral.
And it's of or relating to a tomb?
That's kind of cool, I guess. Okay. We should be reading these two. I kind of forgot.
Yeah.
For the audio listeners. I was forgetting the first couple picks. Alright, so this one's Diluvian Primordial is a 7-mana 5/5 flyer. It's in blue. And when it enters the battlefield, you get to cast up to one target instant or sorcery card from that player's graveyard without paying its mana cost. So and you exile that card. What's cool is, I mean, there's a ton of removal in Gatecrash. Just a ridiculous amount of instant sorcery speed removal. Maybe it wasn't much more than Return to Ravnica. Or no, there is much more removal. There's like the same amount of instants and sorceries almost, I feel like.
Yeah.
But there is definitely, or maybe maybe there is the same amount of removal, but I think what we learned was like Gatecrash has far superior removal.
Like strictly better removal.
Grizzly Spectacle and Orzhov Charm alone.
They have a lot of hard, non-conditional, or like very
cheaper.
limited
It's like, it's like less conditions, more damage, better cost.
Mm-hmm.
All three factors seem to be better in Gatecrash than in Return to Ravnica.
And I think it is pretty much just because of Detain, the amount of Detain that was in the set.
Yeah.
It was acting as like
since
a
it was
huge
the guild
amount
mechanic
of tempo. Yeah.
It was an extra amount of removal. That's why it's going to be really interesting in full block.
Mm-hmm.
Detain alongside like the good removal of Gatecrash.
Who knows what we get out of the...
But anyway, I was just going to say, Diluvian can totally wreck people, for sure. It's a strong card. If
you don't even get the spell off
at least it's a 5/5 flyer. Yeah. But even if you like pull, Grizzly Spectacle out or something, that's really, or like an active treason.
What's Diluvian mean? Water?
I don't know. Let's find that out too. We're gonna make this a learning day.
Everyone's learning. Just leave up dictionary.com.
I should. Diluvian.
Flood or
Diluvial.
That is diluvial.
Oh.
Pertaining to or caused by a flood or deluge. Interesting. I guess it certainly fits.
Look like it, yeah.
Certainly fits. Cool. Alright. Frilled Oculus. This is a great card. One colorless and a blue for a 1/3 homunculus. And then one and a green. Frilled Oculus gets +2/+2, and you can only activate it once a turn. So it's we've described it as like the Dark Thicket Wolf. of
I feel like this
the
could have
set.
even been a justifiable uncommon, but I do think it's a very good common.
It's very good. I agree. And it fills its guild role very well because it evolves early stuff with the 3 toughness, and the fact that it becomes 3/5 is actually really relevant. And it's also efficiently costed price for becoming a 3/5. Because if you remember, Dark Thicket Wolf was 1 and a green for a 2/2, and it cost 2 and a green to make it +2/+2. And this one's 2 different colors, but I feel like that cheaper price on the pump is like super relevant, really relevant. So I like Phil Oculus. Really strong card. What in the picking order in a draft? Where do you think it stands at? I think it's usually like 6 to maybe even 5 to 7 or
I
something.
feel like it is a early-ish pick. 5 seems about right.
Yeah, it's one of the better because like 2 drops are always a premium.
And this
So-
one's so good at stepping. Other 2 drops,
Yeah,
a
it
lot
does
of 2
stop a
drops
lot- all
have
the-
1 toughness also.
yeah. Stopping 2 power guys.
I'm thinking like Fire Fist, Greenside Watcher, and Skin Brand Goblin, just to name 3. Daring Skyjack even doesn't want to attack into this on turn 2 or 3.
And mana sinks like this work so well alongside instants in your deck, because then you can have like the choice of, do you need to use your Aetherize this turn, or should you instead be using the mana to pump your Phylloculus?
It's true.
So it's kind of cool. You get like the versatility.
Yeah.
You get more decisions to make, which
Having
is always
creatures
better
with
for you.
Activated abilities really does add a lot more versatility to your deck.
And
If you're-
definitely relevant activated abilities.
And in blue-green, that color combination has
Doesn't
like
get-
some really good tricks too.
And they don't get in inflation terribly often. Like you see more fire breathing in red, stuff like that. So
Yeah, green is like
the pump effect
spell-based
for sure.
inflation usually, but not necessarily on creatures.
Okay. So the next one is Incursion Specialist. This is 1 of blue for a 1/3 human wizard. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, Incursion Specialist gets +2/+0 until end of turn and is unblockable this turn. Incursion Specialist is a reasonable card. It usually comes pretty late, and we've lost to it before. You can have a strategy kind of that makes it work. Yeah, I mean, it's good in stalemate positions, because then you can at least hold your spell and like get a second spell and play 2 in a turn and make it unblockable. So in that respect, it's pretty good with Cypher. We've played it with Pit Fight before, and it plays well with that. Because it's like you play the Incursion Specialist and then you play the Pit Fight, and you get to Pit Fight with a 3/3.
It can be like a good 4-drop play to do that, for sure.
So Incursion Specialist is okay. Where do you think it's like? Why is it just basically because it's almost like a Maritime Guard? Is that why it's usually going pick 8 to 11 or something like that? Or?
Yeah, it's not really necessarily. See, I feel like this is where they could have like flip-flopped Frilled Oculus and Incursion Specialist.
This could have been the common and
Yeah,
Frilled
because-
Oculus. Yeah.
This ability doesn't trigger that often, and with Cypher in the set, it actually doesn't trigger at the right time most of the time. Anyway.
Yeah, which is kind of why this card plays weird
Yeah.
online, especially you notice when you're like ciphering and then it triggers and you're like, wait, this is like
Yeah, this doesn't work.
after
for me.
damage.
Yeah, I've
That
heard
doesn't sound synergistic.
Yeah, the only way that it does work is if you have this alongside a first strike creature that's got something ciphered onto it, and you can hit them first and then get the pump before he deals combat damage. So like there's a way to make it work. It just takes some work,
That is kind of cool though.
Yeah.
You're right. With the first strike damage, it's good with Cypher.
Yeah.
I feel like I've never had Cypher on a first striker.
And there aren't a lot of. Are there any black ones this time around?
I can't think of any. I would name all the first strikers that you even know. Disciple, potentially.
True Fire Paladin, I guess.
Potentially.
Yeah, so nothing even in color really.
Yeah.
Is there a black and white one?
I'm sure we'll stumble upon them. Okay, so the next one's Keymaster Rogue. Reasonable card. 3 and a blue for a 3/2 human rogue. It's unblockable, and when it enters the battlefield, you return a creature you control to its owner's hand. Keymaster Rogue is mid-pick, probably 6th to 9th. You don't really want to run it in multiples because bouncing a creature can be very difficult sometimes. I mean, you have to factor that you can't actually play it on its own for any value. It's interesting alongside, even though it's clearly a Dimir card, it's interesting alongside Simic because you can play it for 4 mana, potentially evolve something, bounce the Keymaster Rogue itself, and it's kind of like a 4 mana creature evolve pump effect.
Yeah. If you have multiple evolved creatures out already, and like
if you have nothing else going on, it still
I'm trying
is
to think
okay.
of the best kind of play that you can do with it, and it'd really be like first turn Cloudfin Raptor, second turn 2 Cloudfin Raptors, third turn Crocodura, fourth turn Keymaster Rogue bounce itself, and then you evolved everything that turn, and then you can still evolve everything the next turn.
Yeah, it would even be cool alongside like Gyre Sage, because you're like playing it, pumping it, and then you're making it cheaper the next time you play it.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's kind of cool.
Yep. So there's some ability with it. It's just you can't do Shamble Shark and curve out into it because as soon as you play your third turn play, the Shamble Shark is out of range of Keymaster Rogue Pump.
And interestingly, it's good alongside like Urbis Protector, and why that's interesting is Azorius is a return to Ravnica, guild ability, but if you manage to pick up a Keymaster Rogue and an Urbis Protector.
And actually, just to mention this card, with Ravnica cards, Lief Sky Knight and all of the Azorius
all of the Detain, wow. Keymaster Rogue is
Soulsworn is good, and
Keymaster Rogue is just this year. This is going to be excellent alongside those Detain spells.
This is a wonderful Azorius creature because of those Detain creatures.
That's cool. Good to note. Is there any other? Well, I guess we'll stumble upon them, but I'm thinking of other Gatecrash creatures that have entered the battlefield effects.
That are good?
Yeah, like Urbis Protectors is an excellent one. But you're rarely ever going to be blue and... the only way you'd be blue and white is if you were Esper, because then you're brought together with Dimir and Orzhov.
Yeah.
So you can actually make it work. You can do... I feel like we might have even done Keymaster Rogue and Urbis Protector in the same deck before.
Are there any... red creatures with comes into play abilities other than the Primordials?
I guess we'll have to stumble upon them.
Yeah.
Leyline Phantom, next card here. 5 mana, 5/5 in blue. When it deals combat damage, return it to its owner's hand. I actually like this card, and it works really well in Simic. Is it in fact a Simic card, or is it Dimir? I
believe it's just unassociated.
Well, it's an illusion, so would that be closer to Dimir?
It's a Leyline Phantom. It's like, in my opinion, it's illusion brought about like because of the maze, the Dragon's Maze, and not necessarily anything to do with. It's just like a residual magic effect of the maze, basically.
Okay.
I don't feel like it's Dimir, I guess, necessarily.
But I mean, the fact that it bounces, a lot of times it just trades with something big, and you're happy that you played an efficiently costed blue creature.
Yeah.
So in that respect, I really like it.
Yeah.
And sometimes randomly, like we said, you get value from playing creatures again. So let's say this kills something and then or deals damage to a player and then you bounce it and you're in Simic. You get to evolve again.
Yeah.
It's a little bit slow and it's clunky, but
it's a cool take on like the Sea Serpent variant where you got a big blue creature but with a drawback, or something that makes it slightly less efficient. It is actually really efficiently costed for a 5/5.
Yeah, and blue especially. Blue isn't known for getting terribly efficient creatures, so...
Well, it's efficiently costed. It's not an efficient creature, though.
That's true.
So it's right in there where blue should be.
Yeah.
But it's still a creature that can kill a green creature.
Just in terms of power and toughness ratio to cost, it is very excellent for blue. Metropolis Sprite is the next card here. This is 1 in a blue, 1/2 flyer, and it's got 1 blue, and it gets +1 and -1 until end of turn. It's a good card. Plays well in Dimir and Simic. I guess it plays better in Dimir because Dimir has the Cipher ability, which you really want to be sure you're hitting the player to get the full value of those Cipher cards. That's like sort of the point of Cipher. Is attacking and getting full value. Like only playing half of Cipher is, you never really want to be doing that.
Yeah.
I did it earlier today, actually, in a draft with Hands of Binding, but it was just because he had, like, the only time you ever want to do it is if they've fallen just, like, a little bit behind. He was, like, maybe just, like, a turn or two behind me on my plays,
Mm.
so, like, and he only had one creature out, and I really just wanted to put the pressure on him, because I had an elusive Krasis out, so I put the Hands of Binding on that, and I did technically only get half of the Hands of Binding at full ability, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
but
you should, yeah.
your Krasis is unblockable anyway, so.
And it was a 3/7 at that point,
Yeah.
and he was green red.
Oh,
so
so
there's
there was, like,
no way
hope
for him to
killing
deal,
it,
yeah, to deal with it, you know, which is cool because like it's an unsafe play if you're playing against say like Orzhov where they have just tons of
Even
good.
Boros is like a little shaky because of Edict, but
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so Metropolis Sprite, I like it. Is it going to play well alongside Return to Ravnica? That is the question. Plays fine in Azorius. What's the other blue guild in Return to Ravnica? Is it? Plays fine in that probably too. Well, what it is it's more is the overload ability.
but if you were like, we come back to Air America, dude. If you were blue-based skies, you know, Dynacharge with Cloudfin Raptors and Metropolis Sprites and Lee of Sky Knights, like,
yeah,
there's just so much for good flyers.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Are there any spells that this card is particularly good if you put +1/+1 counters on it because then you can actually inflate it more. Like Burst of Strength in Gatecrash, which I guess we're not reviewing it. It's 1 green and you untap a creature you control and it gets or untap a creature and it gets a +1/+1 counter. Works really well with Metropolis Sprite, but are there pump effects with counters?
Scavenge, all the Scavenge cards.
Oh wow! So Scavenge is going to be excellent.
So Bug,
with Metropolis
blue,
Sprite.
green, and black would be okay too.
Mm-hmm.
So you have like actually evolve plus Scavenge, potentially flyers like Drakewing Krasis, and this guy.
I guess if you ever have to play Bioshift, this would be a good target for Bioshift.
Mm-hmm.
Just lets you inflate it even.
And Bioshift is actually better once you have Scavenge around. You know.
Yeah, that's true. You can move the Scavenge counters. I kind of like it. It's interesting.
It's at least gives a little more depth to Scavenge.
I agree. Okay, so overall, Metropolis Sprite, pretty decent card.
Good card.
Pick order, maybe like 6th to 9th or something.
Yeah, it's not.
It's a mid-range
high on my list, but yeah, I'd like to pick them up though.
All right, Mind Eye Drake is the next card. This is 4 and a blue for a 2/5 flyer, and when it dies, target player puts the top 5.
Sorry.
Puts the top 5 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. So this is a really good Dimir card if you're on a mill plan, but in general, just a 5 toughness flyer is really excellent. We've done broken stuff like Stolen Identity with this before, where we had like 3 Mind Eye Drakes out.
Yeah.
So even if he killed them, they were gonna,
this one could be good with Scavenge too. If you were looking to mill yourself to get more Scavenge in your graveyard and then kill it, you know.
I guess that's true.
If you can actually use the effect, I guess.
I wonder if there is going to be a self-mill sort of strategy in full block.
I don't think it'll be like that.
Well, there's already Grizzly Salvage, which is totally self-mill.
I think that those just play into the Innistrad block strategy. I don't think they're like.
It doesn't work. Oh, yeah. I mean, it totally doesn't work as well, and you don't need to
I guess you can play Chronic Flooding on your own stuff too.
You don't need to build your deck around it by any means, but people in Constructed actually were doing Chronic Flooding for self-mill, which is pretty funny. Really interesting. Okay, so Mind Eye Drake. Is it going to play better? I mean, it's a super high pick. Honestly, Mind Eye Drake can be a first pick, but I would say much more often it's probably more like a second, third, fourth pick. Usually doesn't go mid unless no one's in blue.
Yeah, and it's so good. Even like if you were close to a blue guild, like Rule could use this card too, just to keep back on defense or swing in with Blood Rush, you know.
And Simic just benefits so much.
Yeah, Simic wants this card real bad.
5 toughness flyer.
Dimir likes this card too.
Yeah, for the evasion, it works well with both of the guilds that it's on color with. and it's evasive. It doesn't. I guess it looks maybe underwhelming to people because it's like 5 mana, 2 power creature.
Yeah.
But the 5 toughness is just so relevant,
Yeah.
and its milling 5 is actually pretty relevant too.
This is just like a Skyrim Drake, right? From Zendikar.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, except that it has the mill thing.
What was the? Oh, was the other one
Drake
no
was
ability?
No ability except for flying, and it was a common. So
Same cost or one cheaper?
same cost.
Wow. Well, strict upgrade then.
And it's still good.
Okay, the next card's Realm Right. This is 1 blue for a Vidalcan Wizard. It's a 1/1. As it enters the battlefield, choose a basic land type. Lands you control are the chosen type in addition to their other types. This card, it gets a bad reputation and it goes really late, but I actually kind of like Realm Right, and we've played
It's
it.
cool.
We've played it before to help with a 3rd color, and it's actually been of value before too.
I initially thought this card was an enchantment when I saw the spoiler. I didn't think that it was a creature, and I'm sad that it is a creature, but it's actually a good creature in Limited. It just, if it was an enchantment, it would have been so much better in Constructed.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point. The fact that it's a creature just makes it too much of a liability in Constructed because, especially in blue, which usually runs like Supreme Verdicts and stuff like that.
Yep.
So they can't afford to have creatures that are that fragile. Yeah, I guess.
And like, I'm sure if you were trying to play this in your Constructed deck, you want this ability. Like, you want to make sure that you're hitting a certain color.
It's an excellent mana fixer at that cost, which makes it really good for the 3 color. If one of your colors is blue in a Gatecrash draft and you have Realm Right, you should feel good because it's a good mana fixer.
It is actually very good. And people don't usually take it out early enough. You know, they can't usually.
I mean,
resources.
I guess the problem with this card is if your splash color is blue, then it's kind of lousy because then it's not a very good mana fixer.
No, because you already, if you have the splash to play it, then you've already reached the point where it's good.
Yeah, but I mean most of the time. But anyway, like so you really want to make sure that like blue is one of your main colors when you play Realm Right.
Right.
Okay, Sage's Row Denizen is the next card. This is 2 and a blue for a 2/3 Vidalcan Wizard. Whenever another blue creature enters the battlefield under your control, target player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Good for the Gatecrash Dimir Mill strategy. Is there anything that's going to be good alongside it and maybe Return to Ravnica? I think like Crosstown Courier, Doorkeeper were cards that we talked about as potentially a full block mill strategy. Dimir's interesting because it like doubles as a mill strategy plus a powerful effect, which is, I guess, I kind of like that idea. Like Grizzly Spectacle, for example. That's a sweet.
That's
mill.
a very strong card. Yeah,
and it's a mill plus destruction, creature destruction card. It's a great card, and Death's Approach, doesn't mill them, but it rewards you for being
in that strategy.
Yeah, and like Undercity Informer is. Seeing Constructed is, as I understood.
Really?
Seeing some Constructed play.
It is a human, so I guess you can res it.
It was
self-mill yourself.
The Angel of Glory's Rise deck. So I thought that was cool.
That is crazy.
It is. It's really cool, and we'll come upon him Undercity Informer soon enough. But Sage's Row Denizen actually, beyond the fact, disregard the mill part aspect of it. 2/3s are very good. In blue especially, blue wants it because they have the evasive creatures. They want a guy that can at least trade with something, or block something and not die. So the 3 toughness is very relevant, and actually more relevant than had it been a 3/2, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. No, this is a great power toughness on this guy, and the cost is right.
So Sage's Row Denizen, multiples, very cool. I don't think we've ever abused the Stolen Identity, despite the amount of Stolen Identities
I know, we picked up so many.
We've gotten past it all the time. Maybe are we overvaluing it? I feel like it's such a game changer.
It is a game changer. It's very good.
In its colors, yeah. Okay, the next creature is Sapphire Drake. This is 5 and a blue for a 4/4 Drake with flying. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has flying. It's an uncommon.
Yeah.
Very good in Simic
This
for
is the
obvious reasons.
best follow-up to an Adaptive Snapjaw if they don't have the defense for flyers.
It's a super early pick too. I would
Mhm.
say it's second, maybe first to maybe fourth pick. This is actually pretty easily a first pick.
Mhm.
Even though I guess first picking a 6-drop can be
It
unexciting
works
sometimes.
even on the splash though.
Yeah,
Um,
good in both Simic and Dimir once again
mhm.
for having both evasion and a huge reward for your guild's mechanic in the case of Simic. So all of the evolved guys just get nuts with Sapphire Drake.
Mhm.
And you're right, Adaptive Snapjaw was an excellent tool to use alongside it. Being able to attack for 7
The following
flying,
turn, yeah.
7 flying on turn 6 can be really strong. Or if you're in, you're in green, so Verdant Haven,
Mhm.
you could potentially be doing that on turn 5.
Mhm.
It's not really out of the realm of reason.
No. And against the right deck, that could be like very game breaking.
Yeah, we've played Obsidat and Mana rocked our way to a turn 4 Obsidat
Mhm.
before, where you proceeded to completely dismantle the opponent.
Yeah, Obsidat's so good.
In limited especially, but
Mhm.
he is actually better than I gave him credit for. Even in constructed, he's very useful.
Yeah,
Dodging all sorcery speed removal.
yeah. And I actually played him against a control deck, got him out in online, and I was playing a control deck too, and just did not attack into their Azorius Charm with him, and it screwed him. Like, it was just like, I'm just gonna keep dealing you 2 every turn, you have nothing to do against this, So, yeah, it was pretty game-changing just to have him out,
hmm He's the bomb,
hmm
and he's worth a ton online too. So if you pick him up, last I checked, he might be down a little bit. He might be at like 10 or something, but he's worth a lot still. Real life, he's worth a lot too. I feel like maybe is he still $20? Is he still hovering at that?
Probably about there.
It's
He's
pretty
strong.
impressive.
Yeah, he's a 5/5 for 5, and he comes in and gains you 2 life and deals 2 to them.
And we'll come to him eventually too, because I would like to talk more about him. But I mean, yes, Obsidian is a very strong card. There are some shortcomings to him, which I know that sounds like nitpicking considering how good he is, but
Can't block usually.
okay, so the next card we got is Simic Flux Mage. This is 2 and a blue for a 1/2 Merfolk Wizard. It has Evolve. It also has 1 and a blue tap. Move a +1/+1 counter from Simic Flux Mage onto target creature. This is good with Simic, very much so, because, or with any guild, I guess, even in Dimir, this is good. Moving counters at instant speed allows you to do it as a combat trick. So Simic Flux Mage kind of doubles as both a creature that's getting bigger because of Evolve and a trick, so your opponents are more hesitant to block, because it could be that extra +1/+1 counter makes the creature that they block, suddenly be able to kill it. So Simic Flux Mage puts your opponent's defense in like a weird spot, and it makes them have to do harder decisions and possibly turn what would have ordinarily been a block into a chump block. So Simic Flux Mage is a very good card, and also the fact that it's like it gets to refuel itself. So it's like it's getting bigger, you're moving the counters, then suddenly it's getting bigger again.
Yeah.
So it's like constantly rewarding you and moving counters. Simic Flux Mage is a very good card. I think the main shortcoming of it is it's a 3-mana 1/2. So you really have to be in a very creature-heavy deck. So you're not just relying on, your Simic Flux Mage to be blocking.
Yeah, but it does evolve, like it evolved by almost everything in Simic at that price.
Yeah, so at least it's a 2/3 on defense, if you can play another creature quickly.
Yeah, but even following this up on turn 4 with a 2-drop 1/3 in Simic,
like an Oculus.
Yeah,
that would be
still
very good.
okay.
Yeah.
Or like Greenside Watcher even to pump it.
Incursion Specialist on color with it.
Yep. There's a lot of good plays with it, I think, that make it okay in Simic.
It's a reasonably hot pick too. It's also uncommon, so I think you don't get to see it very often. It's probably a 3rd to 6th pick, maybe. Do you feel like it's I feel
good.
like you're not first picking it too often, and I only say that because it's so much of a support card.
Yeah.
More than, I mean, it does have Evolve, so if you have enough creatures, it could be just a beater as well.
Works well with Dimir too, with Death Cult Rogue and stuff like that.
I
as
guess
well.
to nitpick this card, I would say it doesn't really evolve anything. You know,
That's true. Yeah.
it evolves a Shamble Shark,
hmm
which is relevant, but
And a Cloudfin Raptor that you didn't evolve on turn 2.
so
or
it does.
something.
So it does actually
like,
evolve things, but 1/2 is not going to be
No.
evolving much.
No, this one strictly relies on other creatures to get bigger. It's not coming to the party and providing some sort of big effect. It has to have other creatures enter after it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, is it going to have any sort of extra value with Return to Ravnica?
I mean, nothing more than can already be said about like the blue guilds there. You know, I guess you can.
You can scavenge onto it and
Uh-huh.
then move those counters.
That's a very good point.
So that's kind of
It's
cool.
actually probably a very strong scavenge.
So bug once again.
hmm
You can do other color combinations as well, though, right? You could be doing blue. I mean, you really the sky's the limit on
Yeah.
what you could
Even
do.
like, is it Staticaster next to this guy is kind of cool because you can move the counter onto the Staticaster and make it be able to attack also.
And actually cool alongside like Hussar Patrol
Yeah.
as both a card that can flash evolve it, but then maybe even move a counter to Patrol and make it like
Yeah,
a 3/5.
3/5 Vigilant. That's
Yeah.
really strong actually.
So that's
at
kind of
5
cool.
mana.
Yeah, and it's in like the turn progression pretty
Mhm.
perfectly as well.
Yeah.
So
So this
yeah.
one actually it is like you said, it's a very good support card.
Okay. Simic Manipulator is the next card. 1 and 2 blue for a 0/1 mutant wizard with evolve. It also has tap, remove 1 or more +1/+1 counters from it. You gain control of target creature with power less than or equal to the number of +1/+1 counters removed this way. Very cool card. It's difficult to like fully evaluate this card. I will say I've only had good experiences with it, but I'm always like hesitant of it a little bit. Unless you're like, if you're like a 14 creature deck, this guy feels a little bit awkward. He doesn't feel like he's
Doing much.
doing enough.
hmm
He needs to get at least 2 power on him, so you're stealing some, 2 power creatures.
hmm
Um,
Yeah,
I'm
he's
always
so-
I'm always concerned about drawing him late in a game because then you're literally you're playing your 3 mana 0/1 evolve, and like Simic Flux Mage, he doesn't and this guy literally can't evolve anything.
hmm
So he totally 100% relies on you having a good amount of creatures. And if Simic Manipulator is your first creature played in the game, you're doing pretty good actually.
Yeah.
Like that any follow-up play is gonna make him
That much
eventually
better.
he's gonna turn into mind control, and that's really good.
And
And he is
It is
reusable.
really good with Scavenge.
Oh
This
my
one
God.
is
All right,
really
all right.
good with
Sim
Scavenge.
I will agree with that.
Mhm.
Simic Manipulator is going to be insane with Scavenge. Like, what would be the best Scavenge,
I
the
think
best
the Locust.
costed? Yeah, Sardaukar Locust
Yeah.
would be really good with this.
If you had a Guild Gate on your first turn that was blue X, and then had the opposing mana to play Grizzly Salvage, you could potentially put a Locust into your graveyard, get your last blue mana or whatever that you needed, play this turn 3, and then turn 4, like, get a 3/3 from your opponent.
It's possible. I
If
could
they
see
have
that.
cheaper or like lower power guys, you can steal more creatures over the course of a few turns.
And even like Sewer Shambler.
hmm
You do a little Sewer Shambler on this guy. It's like maybe he trades with something. You play your Simic Manipulator. You scavenge onto him.
Mhm.
Gank their like 2 power guy.
Yeah, and actually next to Sluice Way Scorpion, really good. Play it to evolve. Defend with it, like scavenge onto it. It's just really good in scavenge.
And
Actually.
it does sound like a difficult mana base because you're literally needing 2 blue, a green, and a black. But keep in mind, we're
Full
gonna
block is
have a lot of gates.
yeah.
There's
Gates
gonna be a lot of
replace
gates.
basic lands.
There's
and
very
dragons
good mana
and
fixing, Prophetic Prism, and Gatecrash. You've got
all the gates in each set. Not to mention like Dragon's Maze. Each pack will have a gate in it for sure, and they might have multiple gates in them depending on how they're gonna do the distribution.
but you've also got Verdant Haven. There must be there's mana fixers in Return of Ravnica too.
Mhm.
What are they? I can't think of one.
Well, Chromatic Lantern's a rare one, but
Yeah, that one does work.
Gate Creeper Mine is good. Axebane Guardian is good.
You have all the key runes
Yeah,
as well.
Key runes.
So
There's really good fixing.
There's tons of ways to fix. There must be a land Transfield Promenade, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
So you even have Transgo Promenade,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't excellent in multiples, but it's certainly good as a one-off, and might be fine in
In
multiples.
3-color, yeah.
If you have the right deck for it, it could be good in multiples.
If you're slow enough.
So Simic Manipulator is very early picked. I will say that. I'm just and like I said, I've only had positive experiences with it, but I can see where it can be weaker.
Mm-hmm.
Balustrade Spy. Wait, so that's all for blue.
Yeah.
Overall, did we get any sort of impression of how this is going to play alongside Return to Ravnica? Like the blue from Gatecrash. This is actually really important because the full block is going to be drafted backwards, starting with Dragon's Maze. So it's going to be Dragon's Maze into Gatecrash into Return to Ravnica. So before you go into your Return to Ravnica pack, you should have a pretty good idea what kind of deck you're doing. So if you're deciding that you want to pick blue cards from Gatecrash, what kind of direction would you want to be going in
I think
Return to Ravnica?
most likely you're either Bug or you're America. Like, I think those are the two.
The rewards you get from scavenging seem really good.
Yeah, with all of the support blue Simic cards that we've seen so far, Scavenge is really good. And with a lot of like the mill cards there too, you know, it just seems like you can actually build around the Scavenge mechanic a little bit. Mill yourself just a little, you know, like even Sage's Row Denizen to put like 2 cards into your graveyard at a time. You know, it's not.
It's kind of cool. No,
Yeah.
It makes sense with scavenge, and if you have enough scavenge creatures for sure. So I kind of like that idea, and even like Sapphire Drake. You know, scavenging onto a dude and suddenly he has flying too.
Yeah,
it's really good.
That is really good. Yeah, Crown Ceratok is good for that reason too, but we'll get to him eventually.
Okay, but yeah, so it looks like overall blue Gatecrash creatures are going to make you want to play into scavenge creatures in Return to Ravnica if you can. And
if you get the evasive guys, then you might still be able to go
Skies.
into Skies.
I agree. So you have a couple directions.
And you can actually probably do Bant also, you know.
I mean, you can really do all the color combinations.
Yeah.
It just looked like the most reward you're going to be getting is from doing some sort of scavengy green or black.
Yeah, but you can play the scavenge cards with the evolved cards in Bant as well. Like you don't have to. You could play Cross the Monitor and Drudge Beetle and those cards too.
So there's both in green and black. You have a lot of options. Okay, so let's move on to black. Balustrade Spy is first card on the list. 3 and a black. Vampire Rogue. It's a 2/3 flyer. And when he enters the battlefield, target player reveals cards from the top of his or her library until he or she reveals a land card, then puts those cards into his or her graveyard, otherwise known as to us as grind.
Yeah.
I think that was Jake. Maybe you want to tell that story of.
Well, grind was initially intended to be the guild mechanic, but I think during playtesting they thought it was boring because it's like, you know, we've done this before and we're gonna keyword this ability from now on, you know. So
it's true. It's almost like if they were going to keyword it, it's weird that they didn't keyword it on the Return to Ravnica black card that has it.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why they decided to go with Cypher as the keyword instead of that. It is kind of boring too. If you would have seen Grind X or whatever, it would have been really boring.
Well, it's kind of cool. Yeah, I guess that's true. With Grind X, it would have been boring. Well, it's kind of cool. It's almost like we got an extra. It's almost like Dimir got an extra guild mechanic.
Yeah. Well, and they're still split on, like, you can mill traditionally, like, Paranoid Delusions and Grisly Spectacle, like, a base amount, or you mill per land. And usually, I think, with Grind, they restricted it, except for Mind Grind, to 1 land. So, whenever you grind, you just grind to the first land you hit, I think. So, except for Mind Grind, which is X lands.
Okay, well, I mean, Balustrade Spy in general, excellent because it has that grind ability. The fact that it's, I always talk about this in the draft videos. I love Balustrade Spy. It is an amazingly good card in any time you're on color with it. I love to play this card. It's excellent in Gatecrash because it blocks Death Cult Rogue. which is a creature we haven't evaluated yet, but Death Cult Rogue is like an evasive. It can only be blocked by rogues, so the fact that this guy's a rogue is like relevant. He's a flyer. He blocks like Basilica's creature and Kingpin's Pet and Sky Knight Legionnaire. The 3 toughness on this guy is absolutely key. And it just plays well alongside the removal in black, like Death's Approach and Grisly Spectacle. So it really does a lot. And I've had like the craziest luck playing this card. I've played You've been alongside me when I've like milled. I swear I've milled like 7 or 8 multiple times with this card. Sometimes like 7 cards mill.
That's rare. It oftentimes is 1 to 3. Like that's the real range.
And the truth is, a lot of times it's just like you put a land in their graveyard. But let's be honest about this. Sometimes we've like screwed people doing that
true.
before.
Yeah.
We've had a person you play against your opponent and they're off their one color. They just keep playing like a mountain or something. We've had it where like a dude who played 3 mountains in a row, and then we played Balustrade Spy,
and got a Plains.
And his top card was that Plains.
Yeah.
And it kept him off long enough where we just took over. So Balustrade Spy can be straight like screw you, ruin your game.
Yeah, it can be a really devastating card, and it is good for that reason. If your mana hiccup at all, like this card is a total FU, you know.
It definitely works better in Dimir because they already have the mill effects, but they also have Cypher. So
it's a little expensive for Extort, so
it's good in Orzhov because it's evasive still, and it's just a good blocker in general. And Orzhov can still easily play Death's Approach, so this guy rewards you for that, and there's just good synergies with him. So Balustrade Spy, I feel like it goes later than it should sometimes, maybe because not everybody wants to be in black sometimes.
It is so good. It is really good.
I'd say it's still a very high pick, though. Probably 4th to like 6th pick.
Yeah.
Something like that. I wouldn't expect to see it much later than 6th pick. It's very strong.
It is a really good common.
Is there anything cool alongside black in Return to Ravnica? Well, Return to Ravnica black is like Rakdos, which traditionally doesn't have a lot of flyers, and Golgari, which also doesn't have a ton of flyers. I mean, it has a couple. It's got the Zarnikev Locust, and Dagger Drum Imp is for Golgari.
It's also, I guess, notable next to Battalion creatures then in Rakdos, or like Rakdos with white. You know, it's still something to help your Battalion out because you can generally get in with it.
Yeah.
Flying creatures in general are good next to Battalion creatures because they help to trigger that.
That's true. I guess it's kind of cool in Golgari, like we talked about the self mill. You could target yourself with this.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, you could.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And dig up some more scavenge. In fact, that would be insane if you were like Balustrade Spy, and let's say you got the Locust in your graveyard from that. Next turn, you have a guaranteed mana sink
and
to make your 5 power, 5/6 your Mahamoti Jin.
Yeah.
That's
that is
pretty
pretty
cool, actually. I like that.
Yeah. The cool thing about all the mill in this block is that it's target player. So it really is, you are really able to go against yourself on some of these mills and then turn it later against your opponent, you know.
It's interesting that the grind is target player, but all the primordials, all the rare primordials are
your
opponent.
opponent.
Yeah.
For each opponent, you get to do one of these effects to that player.
Yeah. So it's made for like multiplayer, I think, casual.
Yeah.
Like
They're definitely like an EDH cycle, I'd say.
Yeah, and actually, a friend of mine was saying you should really pick up foil Sylvan primordials while they're still cheap, because it's going to become an EDH staple. And he might be right. I feel like it's an excellent EDH card. Just hoses like.
Well, and go get Forest. Like, it's double effect. Yeah, like, screw that Planeswalker, destroy that annoying enchantment, like, get rid of your artifact, and screw your legendary land, and then I'll go get 4 Forests, you know. It's a really good effect.
You should check the price on it now. That would be cool to look at during this podcast. And then see what it looks like.
Go back in time.
See what it looks like later. Foil dilute.
No, it's Sylvan.
Sylvan primordial. Let us see here. Price for shipping. Buy it now.
Sold listings are completed.
Oh, they actually look like they're already a little bit expensive. They're already up to $8. So people know already.
Yeah.
Good for EDH.
So good for EDH.
Okay. Next card is Basilica Screecher, which is 1 and a black, 1/2 bat, flyer with extort. If you don't know what extort is, whenever you cast a spell, you may pay 1 hybrid, 1 white, or 1 black. If you do, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain that much life. So extort is the Orzhov guild mechanic, and still, I'm going to say still my favorite guild mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
I really like how well extort plays because it lets you have 2 different game plans at the same time. You can be the beatdown extort deck where you've done enough damage by turn 6 where even if they've built up their army, you just extort to kill them. But it also plays just fine if they've built up an early army and you're trying to make like a stalemated board. So it really lets you play to defensively and offensively, which a lot of decks don't do. Think about like Boros. You can't play like a Boros aggressive deck defensively and hope to do well.
Right.
The Boros aggressive decks are very good, but they're also very one-sided. They rely on you being like 2-drop creature, 3-drop creature, 4-drop creature, removal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's got to be like right sequence of creatures early. Extort's not that way. If you flub a little bit early on plays, you're still okay with extort because now you can play it and then you have the mana to almost guaranteed extort on your spells that you get later.
Mm-hmm.
So it rewards you late game for having a lot of mana. If you get it in multiples, sometimes it lets you play the deck where if your mana curve is low enough, you can just be extorting off of like everything. So Basilica Screecher is particularly good because even though it's an Orzhov card in Dimir, it's very strong alongside Cypher. And maybe you didn't realize the synergy, but Cypher, when it triggers, is you cast the spell without paying its mana cost again. Is it you may? It's a may, right? Or
yeah, you may cast the Cyphered spell without paying its mana cost.
So obviously that's good alongside extort because you can pay the extra mana off your Cypher ability and extort them again. So it's like it's really good synergy between that. And they must have known about that when they were designing this set. So do you think that's strange that they made that sort of powerful synergy?
It's not powerful, like it's good, but it's not too much, you know. You
I think it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, but you can remove the creatures. A lot of the extort creatures, particularly in black where Cypher is, 2 toughness. A lot of them.
Yeah.
Is it all of them?
In black.
Basilica Screecher, Crypt Ghast, Syndicate Enforcer. Is there an uncommon one?
Kingpin's Pet.
Kingpin's Pet. Those are all 2 toughness, so mugging takes all of those out. Pit Fight with anything kills most of them too. So Grizzly Spectacle will kill them.
I mean, the only higher toughness one I can think of is in white, and that's Knight of Obligation. You have Syndic of Tides also
Basilica
in white,
Guards.
which is a 2. Okay, Basilica Guards is an exception where you have a higher toughness one. And then it's just like
Guild, or
Confessor.
Confessor has 3 toughness.
And Treasury Thrall at Rare has the 4 toughness.
Yeah, at 6 mana also. So by then it's like the extort is a little, you know, you're not going to extort off of it, you know. So you've got to extort off of it after it comes out. But Treasury Thrall is a great recovery card. We'll get to it, I'm sure. Anyway, it's just that the black cards don't. They wear the Cypher spells and then they die, you know, like. So the extort can't really get too out of hand usually.
Yeah, I mean, if you have enough cheap extort creatures like Basilica Screecher, Basilica Screecher just fills its role really well as cheap flyer, relevant ability, works with both guild mechanics very well.
Balustrade Spy is good with the Cypher though. Survives a little more.
What do you mean? Just like
to do the Cypher extort plan. Like, it's still in black, it's a flyer, so it's evasive.
And it has the 3 toughness. You're right. Yeah, it's a good point. So it's a good blocker. Actually, Corpse Blockade, which is the next card, plays... it's kind of cool, actually. It's the next card, because I just wanted to talk about it. So, Corpse Blockade is 2 colorless and a black for a 1/4 zombie with Defender, and sacrifice another creature. Corpse Blockade gains Death Touch until end of turn. I was just going to say it works really well in Orzhov, and it's played well a lot in Orzhov because of the 4 toughness. So it lets you, in the defensive extort plan, I would say Corpse Blockade is very good. In general, the card is obviously not that great because it's just a wall that can't block flyers, but its ability can be relevant too. Believe it or not, having a sack outlet can be really nice sometimes. In this set, especially where you have cards like Soul Ransom and Active Treason, sometimes it's better to just sacrifice your creature.
Soul Ransom in particular is annoying with this card.
Is there any other reason that you want sack outlets? I'm trying to think. Are there a lot of graveyard abilities?
Not in this set, but Scavenge, this benefits the Scavenge decks kind of.
Yeah, so at least getting the Death Touch can be good.
Yeah. So like on defense, if you have like a Drudge Beetle in this, you
and
can
actually
chump and
yeah,
sack to kill something else that's relevant and larger.
And just in general, even if you don't have the Scavenge, sometimes it's good if your opponent has like the Jumpstart on you, where maybe you have like a Corpse Blockade and Skinbrand Goblin, and they have something with like 3 toughness, or if they've just done too much damage to you, at least you can chump block with another creature, any creature, and sack that creature to at least give this Death Touch. So it gets you some value in situations where you're far behind. So it in that way it's kind of like
kind of a rattlesnake in that situation where they don't really want to attack into it. They see that they don't really have a good play to get around it, so they just don't attack in. And then you end up not losing your creature and still having that the next turn to do. So
there's times where it's very weak. If your opponent's got any sort of Skies plan or just evasion in general, because this does not block, rogues, or it doesn't block flyers, it doesn't block the Death Cult rogues, it doesn't block, Keymaster rogues. So there are some things that get past it. And First Strike, I guess it can't really deal with that, but I don't know. There's not a lot of 4-power First Strikers, so you don't really have to worry about that. I guess in general, this goes very late, and it's fine to have. Even if you're not going to main deck it, it's very good to pick up because it can be very sideboardable. Next card is Crypt Gas. This is a really cool card. It's 3 and a black for a 2/2 spirit. It's got Extort, and it's got whenever you tap a swamp for mana, add black to your mana pool, in addition to the mana the land produces. And it's a rare. So Crypt Gas it works so well with Extort. It's such an amazing card with its own mechanic. Has it seen any constructed play?
Yeah, it has.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you know what the deck would be like?
I forget what it's called.
We could. Well, it might take a little bit too much digging to find it, but was it a mono black deck? I mean, it pretty much has to be, right? Or
I think it might have been like multicolored.
actually, no. It doesn't. It really doesn't have to be, because you can play all of the shocklands and still they're swamps, so you get to tap them for the additional
black. So it might
black.
have been something like kind of a Farseek type deck where you just can just go search up lands.
That's kind of cool.
You could probably play
what would they ramp into?
Cemetery, and then 4 of all of the shocklands, and still have enough to possibly get Farseek on turn 2. I don't know what the deck is like though, but you could ramp into anything. Sphinx's Revelation would be a really good one. Clan Defiance is even good. I mean, just there's a ton of X spells.
Sphinx's Revelation being the most relevant one in constructed. In limited, Crypt Gas is really good. You can do it in sort of a well, I'm thinking, I mean, there's big creatures in every color, and there's a lot of good big creatures in every color. So having this kind of ramp effect sometimes can be insane. I'm trying to think do you remember like the most abusive play you ever saw with the Crypt Gas? Like turn 4 Crypt Gas, turn 5?
No, I guess
I feel like I've seen Ruination Worm, but that doesn't sound realistic because that wouldn't be on color with it. So maybe like Urbis Protector.
That I could see that.
But then that's only a 1-turn ramp. I feel like you should be able to.
But he could have got the Extort off of it too, multiple times.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point. So yeah, just really cool with Extort. Really
actually,
cool in general.
Good
in Commander.
With Urbis Protector, you wouldn't even need to play another land necessarily, as long as you had 2 plains and 2 swamps out. So it helps in that way too, where you can just have more gas in your hand and still be okay.
I like Crypt Gas a lot. It's a very early pick, I would say. It's easily first pickable. Like, I'm sure some drafters, maybe if like black's not their preference or their guild, they might pass it, but I would definitely recommend drafting to the guild that's open. So pack 1, pick 1 if you see Crypt Gas. certainly
You could
worthwhile
take it,
pick.
hedge it.
Yeah, like I don't think I would take a 2-drop piece of removal over Cryptcast because of how powerful Cryptcast is for its skill.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion, like Cryptcast alongside the cheap Extort deck, the cheap convert mana cost Extort deck can really be abusive. Okay, so Gateway Shade is the next card. It's 2 and a black for a 1/1 shade, and it's got 1 black pump, +1/+1 until end of turn, or tap an untapped gate you control, and it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. I actually kind of like this card, even though I don't play it very often, and I don't have it played against me very often. It's a cool card for this block, because this block is one that rewards you for being multicolor. Like, if you really want to take advantage of all the most powerful spells in this block, you have to be playing multicolor, because monocolor is not really going to get there. So usually shades are ones where you want to be almost strictly monocolor. But thankfully, this one allowing you to tap an untapped gate you control to give it +2/+2 lets you play, like you can be playing Boros Guildgate and still pumping this thing.
Yeah, or
so.
Simic Guildgate, or any of the Guildgates.
Yeah,
really, like.
So any of those Guildgates that are totally off the wall color from him can still pump him.
Yeah.
So
it's actually, it's really cool to note that there might even be a get all the gates kind of strategy.
So then he gets like nuts.
Yeah, because like Crackling Perimeter and this in particular are really good like creatures that want gates. And then out of Ravnica, Gate Creeper Vine and Ogre Jailbreaker are both really good gate cards too. What are the other gate cards out of? Greenside Watcher is good then if you're playing green with Gate Creeper Vine. So there's just a lot of good effects that you can do.
That's true.
Like getting all the gates.
I really like Gate Creeper and Greenside Watcher.
And so I'm like less impressed with this card right now than I think I will be once Dragon's Maze is out.
And also, well, like, what's the inherent problem with shades? Shades are very clunky on their own. They're like on turn 3, they're cool.
Yeah.
If you're already at least not, if you're not in danger, if they're not like 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop creature. But if you're like if you do a turn 3 1/1 on that, that's not doing you any good.
They're generally, as a rule, not less than 3 mana to cast a shade.
You don't ever want to play them early, I don't think, because they're too much of a mana investment early. So they're much better on like turn 5 or 6, where
after a lot of stuff has happened, where your board is like looking loose and your opponent's board is looking loose and nobody can get in. Gateway Shade, or like any shade in general,
can flip games at that point. It really does. So,
but yeah, early on it is a huge mana investment, and so when you attack with it, they don't block it because you can pump, and you don't because
then it's only hitting for 1.
Then it's hitting for 1, so it's
you don't feel like
a 3-drop 1/1.
So then you feel like you're not getting your full value from it.
Yeah.
But
it's still like, if you were to pump into it, you'd be losing value in the fact that you couldn't play anything. You know?
Afterwards, post combat.
So they're good at the right time, and that's why I like them at uncommon more than I like them at common.
Now, was there a shade at the time? Was there a shade-like ability at the time of Innistrad? Because at that time, you were rewarded for just using your activated abilities that cost mana, because then you could flip your werewolves. So it was kind of cool, like cards like Dark Thicket Wolf, cards like
there wasn't a shade until Avacyn Restored, and then it was the Evernight shade or whatever.
Is that one the one that had
Undying?
that one was actually good.
I don't think there was a shade in either Innistrad or Dark Ascension, which is actually kind of funny, because you would think that Innistrad in particular would have just had one.
Yeah, a shade to go with. I guess there were no werewolves in black, but it would have been.
Oh, you wanted like a flip shade? Or what?
No, I was just thinking it's cool to have creatures. It was cool in that block that you were like rewarded for using your creature's activated abilities if you were playing werewolves. Because then it was like, oh, well, screw it. I'll just pump this creature instead and flip my werewolf and make them deal with, like my Tormented Pariah that was a 3/2 for 4 suddenly is like a 6/4.
Maybe there was a black pump effect like that. It would have been cool if they had a transform shade that started as like a 0/1 human, but it had like sacrifice at sorcery speed, like tap sacrifice at sorcery speed, and then return it to the battlefield flipped, and the flip side was a 2/2 that pumped for like 1 black for +1/+1,
Wow, that would be kind of cool, yeah. Yeah, they should have done that. That's true. Or just add a shade in general. I mean,
Yeah, a shade would have been really cool in that set because
not in Innistrad or Dark Ascension, huh? Not that we can think of. If there
I
is
mean,
one,
there's like Mortarpod Banshee, which is like a spirit. So I think they were. That's the thing. They were maybe pushing the spirit thing too much that they didn't want to
shades,
do a shade.
spirit.
Also.
I mean, let's face it, spirit and shade are
Yeah, they're so like
almost one
yeah.
and the same.
Like I think a shade is more shadow-like,
And spirits can encompass a few things, you know.
they're usually ghost. Is a spirit. So like somebody has a spirit, or like sentient beings have a spirit, and that's what a spirit is.
Mhm.
A shade I think is like more like an animated shadow. So it's actually
Oh yeah, no, that is true. Animated shadow.
But
That's a good description.
it's true because like Spectre, like Shade and Spirit, they're all kind of in this realm of just like ghastly black creature, and it is hard to differentiate them, I think.
All right, the next card is Gutter Skulk. Actually, let's finish up on Gateway Shade real quick. It was a late pick. I would say it's usually you could get it pretty easily, like 10th to 12th pick
You're
maybe.
not playing it on the splash.
No, not usually, unless you have just a ton of gates.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're also the Crackling Perimeter deck too, maybe.
But this gives you more value potentially.
I've played it and I've liked it, and it's perfectly fine in the right deck. And the right deck is one that doesn't have many mana sinks and is in desperate need of more creatures. But
good with
or win cons.
Good with Way of the Thief, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, why not? That's cool. That's actually really
works well with gates then.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. Way of the Thief does work very well with it because you're rewarded in both the aspect of you're playing a gate to bump it with, and you're playing a gate that makes it unblockable.
If you have the gate, you're already attacking for 5 unblockable.
Yeah,
even if you only have blue islands left.
No, you're attacking for 6 at least because you had to have a black mana to play your.
No, but like let's say it's only Dimir Guildgate, and then you have 3 islands.
Oh, okay.
You're still getting in for 5 damage, unblockable every turn.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's all I've got to say about Gateway Shade. Underrated card. I would say yes. Maybe it's because it's not great in Gatecrash, and I'm not sure if it's going to get any better in Return to Ravnica.
In full block.
I can't see anything that would...
Because the full block draws you into 3-color a lot more. But that's why the gate thing is relevant, I suppose,
Mm-hmm.
As long as... It always feels like a ripoff to play the black gates and tap those for the +2/+2. That's how I feel, but at the same time, it is still double pump. It's like you paid 2 mana kind of off of 1 land.
Alright, let's go to Gutter Skulk here. 1 and a black, 2/2 zombie rat.
What do you say about a 2/2 zombie rat?
It's a really important card, actually. It's very good in Orzhov. It's perfectly fine in Dimir. The reason it's so important in Gatecrash is this format can be really fast. Against the Boros deck, it's essential that you have a 2-drop that can stop their Daring Skyjack, their Wojak Halberdier. I mean, if you're trading this with a Wojak Halberdier, you should feel really good about yourself. So Gutter Skulk fills that role really well. I mean, yeah, it just seems like a 2-mana 2/2 shouldn't be that good. And it's not like it's amazing, but like I said, 2-drop creatures are a premium. 2-drop 2-power creatures are definitely a premium. And it randomly, this card randomly works well alongside Ogre Slumlord because it gets the Death Touch. And he's a 4 creatures ahead, so we'll get to him in a second here. But so it's the fact that he's a rat is the reason that he's good with Ogre Slumlord.
Yeah. Zombie creature type is relevant too. Is it not relevant as much in this block though?
In general,
I mean, there
not
are
anymore.
A lot of zombies, but they just don't call them out in the any cards. There's not like a
and zombies historically zombies have been all the good ones are like 3 mana, so it's too clunky. But I mean, this one's not good enough for like any sort of zombie deck. I don't think.
Corpse.
And there's no like Lord besides the Dark Ascension one anymore. There's no Cemetery Reaper.
Yeah, that's true.
And I didn't even like Cemetery Reaper that much. They got rid of him. I'm always happy to see Lord of the Undead. He was awesome.
Yeah, he was really strong.
A great tribal lord. But
perfect for that strategy.
Gutter Skulk's a cool card, and actually it works with Pack Rat in Return to Ravnica too. Because Pack Rat is not just each Pack Rat in play, is it?
It's each rat you control.
Okay.
Power and toughness equal to the number of rats you control. That's because it was still relevant with Drainpipe Vermin. I remember that. But that's cool that they have like
Rat
full on three rats to
You
use
could technically
for your,
make a rat deck. See, the disappointing thing is these rats aren't nearly as badass as the ones from Kamigawa that were ninja rats.
Yeah, Ninja Rat was sweet. But Typhoid Rats already has Death Touch, and then it becomes a Death Touch rat with Ogre Slumlord out too.
Well, the good news about Gutter Skull, considering how important of a role it is usually in black decks, is that it's a fairly mid to late pick. You can see it easily 6th to 10th pick.
Yeah, it's underwhelming to a lot of people. It's just a grizzly bear, but it's good in black.
I've had it add up.
Yeah, it's
early against no defense. I mean, I guess we shouldn't talk about a bear this much, but it's the fact that it's in black that makes it so important. Okay, the next card is Horror of the Dim. 4 and a black for a 3/4 horror. It's got blue. Horror of the Dim gains hexproof until end of turn. Pretty underwhelming card. Mostly because there's much better 5-drops. What are the other 5-drops in black, really, I guess, that are
common or uncommon that are better than this?
Yes. What are the other 5 drops in black in general? I'm trying to think.
I mean, Ogre Slumlord at rare, but I think the problem with this card is that every other color's 5-drops totally outshine it. Even Mind Eye Drake is better. Nav Squad Commandos is better for Orzhov, in my opinion.
There actually is no other 5-drop in black besides the Ogre Slumlord, interestingly. But it's just not really played much because it doesn't work well with, the Orzhov Extort. It doesn't really work well with Dimir Cypher.
No, and 4 toughness is actually not as good as you think for 5 mana. Like,
I mean,
Towering Thunderfist around and Rust Scarab around, it's like, I'm not doing anything with my 5-drop,
Good with Way of the Thief, because then it's like unblockable, plus you can give it hexproof, so then it's almost like
That's true.
Invisible Stalker. But if you're playing, like, obviously your deck is on the lower end if you're playing both Way of the Thief and Horror of the Dim.
Yeah.
But those cards do work well together. So
actually wears Gift of Orzhova well then, in that case too.
That's true.
Actually really well. Making a 4/5 hexproof flying lifelink is pretty good.
I agree. So that is good. It's just, like I said, you usually end up with 4-drops that are as good, if not better, than this card, or 5-drops that are better.
It's just this card needs support, unfortunately, and
good with auras is what we found out, but that's only if you have the mana to support the hexproof. So then you're really looking at at least a Dimir deck, So kind of that's the problem with it. It certainly makes sense flavorfully. They couldn't have made it like a black mana to give it hexproof.
Right.
That wouldn't have made sense. But it's just, it turns out it's pretty underwhelming. Like maybe, it would have been better if it was like a blue and maybe a colorless and it gains hexproof and it's unblockable, and then they could have justified it as like a 2/3 or something.
A 5-drop?
Or maybe a 3/3. They could have made it a 3/3, a colorless and a blue.
I think they already had like plenty of unblockable guys,
Or maybe I guess 2/3 would have been. Yeah, they did have enough unblockable guys. Maybe they already had enough. They already had enough evasion in general.
That I think the hexproof is fine. I just think that this card in general is not good. Like, I feel like Catacomb Slug is better.
Just because it's got the 5 toughness?
6 toughness, isn't it? So it can block the world. Like, this thing cannot.
Yeah, like Hover Barrier. That's the same. Yeah, Hover Barrier does block the world. Alright, so the next card's a Mythic. Lord of the Void. 7 mana, 7/7 demon with flying. Where are we in time? I just want to look real quick. Wow, already an hour 12 in. Lord of the Void is a Mythic. 4 and 3 black, 7/7 flying demon. When it deals combat damage to a player, exile the top 7 cards of that player's library. Then put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield under your control. So obviously really strong, especially in Limited, where your libraries are typically 40 cards. Almost always 40 cards. And this just dismantles them in a couple turns. I mean, but the thing is, it already is like dealing, enough damage to
Yeah.
him where it should take you out anyway. But late game, if you've already milled him a lot, I could see this. I've lost to this in limited before. So, I mean, you can't get much more efficiently costed. 7 mana, 7/7 flyer is very good, in black especially. Problem, obviously, with the fact that it's triple black. And like I said earlier, this block really rewards you for being multicolor. So, triple black can be really difficult to get.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we did a draft recently where we ended up having to cut
that.
we even we hedged a little bit in black, but you can't really hedge into black for a Lord of the Void. You have to be like a dedicated black deck to play Lord of the Void. And even then, don't expect to get him a lot because he's 7 mana. And games are a lot of times over before you get to 7
There's
mana.
a lot of efficient, fast decks in this Gatecrash set. So
Well, for that reason, just like Borborygmoth, who we'll get to eventually, they're not super high picks either. So you can expect to see Lord of the Void not late, but like maybe fourth or fifth pick, even. You know, possibly later than that,
He's
but
a
not
bomb,
like
but
he is a bomb spell. If you're already dedicated black, slam him. All right, the next card, Ogre Slumlord. So this is probably maybe my favorite black creature from this set. It's 3 and 2 black for a 3/3 ogre rogue, and whenever another non-token creature dies, you may put a 1/1 black rat creature token onto the battlefield, and rats you control have Death Touch. Very strong card. I like it a lot. The fact that it's in black in Gatecrash, where you already have a lot of good spot removal, makes this card really strong. Gives the rats. The reason this card is actually really just sick is let's say you get 1 rat and it has Death Touch. That rat can always attack him because if they block and that creature dies, you already get another rat.
Yeah.
So it's like constantly filling itself. You know what I mean? It's constantly like fueling itself with more rats.
And works well with Corpse Blockade too. You know, like give the blockade Death Touch, get another Death Touch guy before blockers block. You know, if it was just something you were going to chump with anyway, I guess maybe it's not the best play, but
no, it's okay.
You know, there's things you can do that
Cartel Aristocrat maybe too. So Ogre Slumlord, very good card. We get past it all the time, but I mean, it's early when you get it past. I mean, the latest I've ever seen it maybe is 4th, and that seems a little bit ridiculous, so it's probably more like 3rd. I would say pack 1, pick 1, slam the Ogre Slumlord. It's worth designing that kind of deck, and even if you're like an aggressive, I don't know where it works better. It doesn't, to be honest, it doesn't really work well with either of the guild mechanics that it's on color with, but it creates its own army. It works well in a deck with a lot of removal, or it works well in a deck that's going to have a lot of creatures that are likely to trade, you know, or force blocks, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's
like
it's just really good for that.
It's just so funny, but cards like Metropolis Sprite, you know, you can even kill your own Metropolis Sprite to give yourself a Death Touch rat.
So in a pinch, let's say they're attacking with a Ruination Worm or something. You're like, and maybe they won't think about it.
With your own Metropolis Sprite.
And maybe they won't even think about it. They attack with the Ruination Worm, and suddenly you're like, oh, okay. And just pump your Metropolis Sprite twice, block with your Death Touch rat.
And get another Death Touch rat.
Yeah.
So that's really the good thing about him is even when you're trading
trades are sick.
Yeah, your trades are so much better because you're getting that value.
You're getting 2 rats usually. Keep in mind it is non-token, so it's not like it's not your rats that are fueling themselves.
They're real creatures dying because of your rats.
Maybe for that reason he would be less good in a dedicated populate deck. Because then you're really not getting value from their token creatures dying. So I could see that. But
you could play him in junk and actually be really happy if you had populate effects of your own.
Really cool with Launch Party.
Yeah. Really good with Launch Party, actually. 2 rats, eyes in the sky, bird rat.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, it is good with populate. I agree.
Rootborn defenses. Extra rat.
You know, Pack Rat was good with populate too. Where you're like Rootborn defenses.
Yeah. So obnoxious.
It is obnoxious. Okay, so Ogre Slumlord is very good.
Yeah.
My favorite black creature, I would say, in Gatecrash. The next one's Sepulchral. Got that name right. Sepulchral Primordial. 5 and 2 black for a 5/4 avatar with Intimidate. And when it enters the battlefield for each opponent, you may put up to one target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Really strong effect. Jake, maybe we should tell our Sepulchral Primordial story. We had to play in draft. Did we tell it? No, we couldn't have told it last time.
I think we already told it.
We already did?
We told it last time. But
Let's just tell it again real quick, because it's a good story. I was playing a 3-color deck, and I was playing a deck that had Sepulchral Primordial. So I play Sepulchral Primordial. I take, what was it? You remember the creature I took from your graveyard? Was it
Ruination Worm? And I had just played a Ruination Worm.
Okay, so you had played a Ruination Worm. I Sepulchral Primordial, and I get another one of his Ruination Worms. So then on his turn, he has an Incursion Specialist. He plays Stolen Identity on his Incursion Specialist.
No, I played it on your Sepulchral Elemental, got back your Balustrade Spy, and then ciphered it onto... That was...
Oh, yeah.
So, like,
so Stolen Identity, copy the Sepulchral, get the Balustrade Spy, mill me. I forget what you put in my graveyard.
It didn't really matter.
Yeah, it didn't matter. Stolen Identity was ciphered on the Incursion Specialist. And then you pass turn. My turn, I attack with the Sepulchral and the Ruination Worm. Or maybe just the Sepulchral.
No, it was both.
Okay,
we traded.
Yeah, you're right. So Sepulchral and Ruination Worm. We traded Ruination Worms. I
chumped with Balustrade Spy on his Sepulchral.
So then on his turn, he played Way of the Thief.
And then a Gate.
A Gate on the same turn, which was the top deck,
yeah,
the Gate.
It was.
And Way of the Thief on the Incursion Specialist with the Ciphered Stolen Identity. Attack again. Copy another Sepulchral Primordial. Put out Balustrade Spy again. And then the only way that I won that game was I had gifted Warzova, and he couldn't block the Sepulchral Primordial anymore.
I could chump it once with Balustrade Spy, but then he was already like,
and the life gain was just too huge. And Jake was super miffed because he had 3 ground assaults in that deck too, which at that point would have still killed him. It was super late game at that point. I think you had enough to kill him.
I think I did.
Because he actually has kind of low toughness at 7
so
mana.
it would have been 5. I definitely had enough to kill him.
But the funny thing about Sepulchral is the mere fact that he's 7 mana, he goes super late. Not like extremely late, but like mid-game late. Like mid-pack late, I mean. So you can see him like 5th to 5 or 6 pick, I would say. Don't you think? Likely. People don't like the Primordials very much because they're expensive.
They are expensive. I see Molten Primordial go really late too.
Do we think this one is like super playable though?
I think this one's playable.
They're
all playable.
It's cool that it has Intimidate. There's actually, I'm not sure if there's any other creatures that have Intimidate. There's only Shadow Alley Denizen that gives Intimidate, but I'm not sure if there's other.
In this set, that I don't think there are other. It's funny because it would have been a totally relevant Gruul ability too. Intimidate.
Yeah, for Blood Rush, and it would have been amazing with Cypher.
Actually, it would have been a really amazing Blood Rush ability.
Yeah, getting in and they can't block. Plus, it was always weird when Intimidate was on like red creatures, even though that's like a common color for it. It always kind of weirded me out. Just seeing Intimidate on other creatures.
Colors, yeah. I know. Like green, it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, like the mechanic doesn't really make sense. It should just be like almost unblockable. You know, it's oh my god. It's funny that they
turn on your volume, man.
I've tried. I thought I did actually, so I'm sorry. Stop, don't do that. Anyway, I don't even know what I was saying anymore.
Well, it was about Intimidate.
Oh.
Is that what we were talking about?
Yeah. It's funny the way it works because it should just be like why is it that a green creature isn't intimidated by a huge green creature? Like that doesn't really make sense, you know? But like I can understand why an artifact creature wouldn't be intimidated, or like a black creature wouldn't be intimidated because they're not, because they're dead.
Alright, you guys talk about it.
I'm really sorry.
Just turn your phone off.
Go to sleep.
Alright, so I was just gonna say I don't think I ever saw any like artifact creatures that had Intimidate. Like, why couldn't an artifact creature could be intimidating? Or was the idea behind Intimidate like, I wouldn't think it would be like they were menacing. Even an artifact creature could be menacing. And I thought Intimidate would be really cool on an artifact because it really means it could only be blocked by other artifact creatures. So,
It would be a cool ability, and actually, if they were going to do it for like New Phyrexia, or that block would have been the best place to do it. And it would have made a lot of sense, and it would have been easy to do, because then you've got a lot of artifacts out there. But, yeah, I don't think they ever have done it. They've done Fear on an artifact before.
which one had that?
Like, some sort of fiend. Arcbound Fiend, I think.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember it. But Sepulchral, good card. You can get it, 5th or 6th pick. You should probably be a deck if you're running 7-drops in general that has at least one key rune or like a Verdant Haven or some way to ramp a little bit, because sometimes you can have a hard time getting to 7. Otherwise, I mean, you pretty much have to run 17 lands too. Like, I like to get away with 16 land decks whenever I can, but playing a 7-drop in a 16 land deck is probably not very wise.
True.
Next card is Shadow Alley Denizen, 1-drop, 1/1 Vampire Rogue. I didn't realize it was a vampire either. It's interesting. Whenever another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gains Intimidate until end of turn. Can't be, and yeah, so you know what Intimidate is. All right. So it's a common. This is probably the worst Denizen, right? Or did we say there was one worse than this?
I don't know. I think this
So,
one is tied with
but-
Foundry Street.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, I could agree with that. Foundry Street, it's funny because both Foundry Street and Shadow Alley Denizen are both useful within their guilds.
Yeah. It is actually kind of funny, because
And they're cheap.
they're otherwise not good, but they
I
can be
I,
useful.
I can't quite put my finger on why these cards didn't pan out to be as well in their guild as they could have been.
They're just 1/1, I think, is the problem. The biggest problem.
Yeah, I mean, Shadow Alley Denizen should be good with Orzhov because it's a cheap creature, so it's easy to extort with. And if you're playing more extort creatures, it'd be nice to get that extra unblockable damage in.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it's just really not that useful. I guess it's because it's black creatures in general. You usually don't have a ton of them. Unless you're dedicated black. Maybe this, actually, I bet this card will be better in Return to Ravnica. Because in black, you're going to have the Scavenge, so then actually getting...
And actually, with Rakdos, it could be really relevant.
So actually, I bet this card does get better.
Mm-hmm.
Rakdos especially. Rakdos could very much use this card.
Mm-hmm. And actually, Foundry Street Denizen wouldn't be bad in the right Rakdos deck either.
Yeah, you're right. So maybe both the Denizens are the ones that we consider worse in Gatecrash.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe better in full block. But overall, Shadow Alley Denizen, very late pick. Very often not played. I don't see it very often. I'm happy when I see my opponent play it. I feel like most of the time. I'm like, good. I'm just glad that one of their cards in their hand was a 1-mana 1/1.
Do nothing once I drop
A lot of times.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see it getting good value. I've actually had good value with it. I've played Paranoid Delusions on it before. I played turn 1 Denizen, turn 2 Delusions attack, so you get that initial 6. Turn 3 black creature, give it Intimidate, Delusions again.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, in that line of turn, if in that turn progression, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Probably with Hands of Binding for the same reason. If you had that, I'd say it'd be better than Paranoid Delusions.
Yeah.
Slate Street Ruffian is the next card. 2 and a black, 2/2 human warrior. When it becomes blocked, defending player discards a card. Pretty bad card.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time a gray ogre. Why it's bad? Well, it's a 3-mana 2/2. So it's too clunky for what you want it to be. It's not very aggressive. Doesn't really put the pressure on.
It's like kind of unblockable if they don't want to discard a card, kind
Yeah.
of, but not really.
Maybe its ability is relevant sometimes.
I mean, maybe it wears Cypher cards well, like,
Could we see this any better in maybe Rakdos?
It probably is a little more relevant in Rakdos.
Because Rakdos can dish out damage so fast, maybe this could put them in a position where they have to discard.
And discard something that they were planning on. Like, I would
general,
think
this is a
against
bad card.
Rakdos, you're like playing as many cards as you can to stop them, but yeah, I don't like this card.
Yeah, unfortunately, just a pretty weak card. Most of the time, it's not very often played, I'd say.
Does wear Scavenge creatures well, though. Like,
I could see that,
because
yes.
then
You're right. Scavenge.
they want to block it.
Scavenge will make this a little bit better.
But
like
not something you want. It just makes it a little more playable.
Okay, Smog Elemental. It's the next card. 4 and 2 black for a 3/3 elemental with flying. Creatures with flying your opponent's control get -1/-1. Looks underwhelming because it's 6 mana 3/3 flyer, but like Asperia's Skywatch, turns out it's a pretty decent card. I think the problem with it is there's a lot of other good 6-drops, 5 and 6 drops, strong creatures and such. So sometimes you don't get the opportunity to really take advantage of it. But I mean, in certain matches, it's incredibly strong.
Yeah.
Against
Outright kills Drake Wings.
Yeah. So in the Simic match, very strong. Stops Metropolis Sprite.
Yeah. It actually no longer trades to any 3-power flyers that your opponents might have. So like Assault Griffin is even kind of negated, and yeah, Metropolis Sprite is dead in the water.
Tower Drake in Return to Ravnica is going to be crippled by this card.
We have Sky Knight for that same reason.
Yeah.
Totally
Absolutely.
dead to this.
Also, Eyes and Skies. Just Seller of Songbirds. Just obliterates those little bird tokens.
It's pretty strong, actually.
Might actually be pretty good in Return to Ravnica. I felt like 6-drops were. It's tough to evaluate what the speed of the full block is gonna be like. Is it gonna be as fast as Return to Ravnica and Gatecrash have been, or is it gonna be maybe we see some more grindy matches?
I think it's much harder to go into one guild exclusively in full block.
We're gonna see some 3-color combinations. That is for sure. And that's really cool. I mean, that's where it gets really fun, when it really is like whatever 3-color combination you want to pick. Just be open-minded, be conscious of what cards you're picking up, because some are really going to reward you more for being in that guild or that 3-color combination that you've chosen than others are. So,
and
interesting.
Like the other thing about the full block is going to be that drafting 2 large sets makes it harder to see a lot of the uncommons too, out of any of those sets.
Yeah, you're right. So uncommons are going to be much more difficult to see, and so maybe Smog Elemental will be a little more of a premium, even though it's a 6-drop.
You won't see many of them at least.
I've played it in multiples, and it's really good in some matches for that reason. It's really good alongside your flyers. I like that because then it's like you're making anything that would get in their way get weaker, like turn Valstrate Spy into a 1/2. You know, it's pretty crippling, pretty debilitating. So Smog Elemental is a cool card. I like it. I would say it goes fairly late. The fact that it's an uncommon, like you said, you don't see it as often.
Yeah.
But still, it goes like 6th to 9th pick, maybe 6th to 8th pick. Okay, next card is Syndicate Enforcer, 3 and a black, 3/2 extort creature. Now, at the beginning of the set, I was so jacked and excited about extort that I think I overvalued this card. Now that I've played this format a little bit longer, unfortunately, Syndicate Enforcer is a fairly bad card.
It's a rogue. Blocks Death Cult Rogue.
It does block Death Cult Rogue, but if you're paying 4 mana to block Death Cult Rogue, and you're losing your extort. I mean, I've played it for good value before. I've even gotten in with it before, but the 4 mana 2 toughness on this is very bad. This card would be so much better if it was a 2/3. It would be very, very good, I think, if it was a 2/3. And I think it would be actually much higher picked. But it's usually like a 8th to 10th pick now, I would say. It's because of the fact that it's a 4 mana extorter. It's hard to extort off of him because you want to jam him out on turn 4, you know? And so that means you're not going to be able to
extort off of him, off of your previous extorters, potentially.
Yeah. So that's kind of the shortcoming of him, and he doesn't block well like Knight of Obligation did. So, unfortunately, not that good. Extort in general, though, does Extort really interact any better with stuff in Return to Ravnica? Like they've got the Rakdos. Actually, Extort works really well with Rakdos. I really like that a lot.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting to see. So I guess actually Syndicate Enforcer could be better for a Rakdos deck than it would be for an Orzhov deck. A primarily Rakdos deck.
Basilica's creature is still a much better Rakdos card in my opinion. Because it comes out early.
Absolutely. You're right.
Often.
But I would just say if you're thinking about this Orzhov now compared to maybe a more Rakdos-centric deck, This could be pretty useful at 4 mana as something that just lets you do all your mana, have a mana sink to make them lose more life. Like every point of damage counts and when you're Rakdos.
Yeah.
So Extort's really good for that matter. All right, the next card is Thrall Parasite. It's a 1 mana 1/1 Thrall with Extort, and then it has tap, pay 2 life, remove a counter from target non-land permanent. It's a great card.
Yeah. Finally saw somebody use that ability against us, right?
Yeah. Someone removed a counter from Krakenura on us before. See, my problem with that play or that idea is it's pretty narrow when you get to use that or when you want to use that, because your chances are they're just going to be evolving the Krakenura again the next turn. But and see, the problem is paying the 2 life is like, did you really
gain anything?
Yeah, because it's still, they're going to be dealing damage. It helps it helps creature combat. That's really what it helps
And
with.
it can be relevant against some planeswalkers too, I suppose.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And if Thrall Parasite sees constructed play, which actually I think it did in the Aristocrats, that constructed deck, at least one iteration of it had Thrall Parasite. But a 1 mana Extort engine, clearly good, so it's easy to extort off of, gets you more Extort. Very playable in limited, very playable in multiples in limited. I've never had more than 2, I don't think.
It'd be
3 to be really happy.
Yeah.
It is uncommon, so you don't see it a ton. And it's not too often you actually see uncommon. I feel like it's not too often you see uncommon 1/1s. 1/1s for 1.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
If that tells you, I mean, I guess they sort of had to add the tap ability to it to justify it at uncommon, because it almost doesn't feel right as a 1 mana 1/1 Extort at uncommon. It feels too weak as an uncommon. So
I agree with that for sure.
So they did give it like a marginal ability to kind of just put it in uncommon territory. But overall, Thrall Parasite is a very strong card. That's also going to be highly playable in Rakdos, in my opinion, and perfectly fine as a scavenge target.
Yeah.
Plus Extort engine. So yeah, pretty good. Next card is Undercity Informer. This is one of my favorite creatures in general from the full set, actually. 2 and a black for a 2/3 human rogue. It's got 1 tap, sack a creature. Target player reveals cards from the top of his or her library until he or she reveals a land card. Put those cards into his or her graveyard. Really cool and limited. There's sometimes, what I love about that grind ability is you can sometimes just do the math on
how many lands you've seen.
Yeah, so if you like already milled them a couple times, let's say you put let's say it's super late game too, and you're just really looking for a way to mill them out, but you don't want to because Undercity Informer requires you to sack your creatures, you want to make sure that you're, doing it at the right time, because you're going to be losing all of your defenses. So let's say they have 3 lands in their graveyard and 7 lands in play. So you see 10 lands are accounted for. Most people, chances are they're playing 17 lands in their deck, at most. So that means if you have 7 creatures,
including the Informer, because you can sack and sell,
you're actually guaranteed to mill them out. And that's actually not true.
It's barring them having
no
extra land.
Or no lands. It really is you need 8 actually to do the guarantee, because it could be the last 4 cards of their library aren't land cards.
But they mill until they reveal a land.
So that would still, if you hit them 7 times with it and the last 4 cards in their library were non-land cards,
you
then
put them all into their graveyard.
No, you would hit their 17th land before you hit those 4 cards on the bottom. So you really need to do it.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So you really need to do it 8 times if they have. So really, you shouldn't even consider it until you have 4 or 5 creatures and they're at 12 lands are accounted for throughout your entire mill, But Undercity Informer, I've definitely milled people out with it. The fact that it's a 2/3 for 3, excellent. The fact that it's a sack outlet, excellent. It's a powerful ability attached to the sack outlet. It's randomly a human. It's also a rogue, so it blocks. There was one game we had a Deathbolt rogue, which is it's a 3 mana 2/2, can't be blocked except by rogues. And our opponent had an Undercity Informer, and we were both unaware for 3 turns
that
the Undercity Informer was a rogue. And then we realized it, and we're like, oh my god. And we're like, well, let's just keep attacking.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess
He
he
hasn't noticed.
and he didn't
And he didn't notice,
the
yeah.
entire game.
Oh, it was so good. It was like literally like our Undercity Rogue, our Death Cult Rogue was unblockable.
He must have just read it as that.
Yeah.
Or just really not realized his Undercity Informer was a rogue itself.
Mm-hmm.
But Undercity Informer is a fairly high pick.
I think so.
Third to maybe sixth pick at the latest. Very strong card. I like it very much. And like I said, I think it's in some constructed decks. And I know there's like, someone was telling me about a sick legacy deck involving this card, where it's like, there's no land. Oh, that's what it is.
Dredge?
Yeah, I think it's
No
Dredge.
land dredge.
I think it's Dredge. Because they don't run any lands, so it's like, literally, it's just dirty. It's just like, mill everything with your artifact mana producers or whatever. That's really sick.
Yeah, it is. It's really
That doesn't sound fun to play against. So, super high pick, really strong card. Next one's White of Precinct 6, which happens to work really well with Undercity Informer. 1 and a black for a 1/1 zombie. White of Precinct 6 gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your opponent's graveyards. Really high pick and a really good card. The fact that it's pretty much just a 2-mana 1/1 shouldn't dissuade you from playing it, because there's in Dimir all of the grind cards, all the cards that are milling them are going to pay dividends. In addition to that, any removal spell you have in your deck is also fueling this card. This is one of those cards that might be bad in the Selesnya match if they're a heavy token based deck, like if they're, you know, like if they're the Call of the Conclave with Eyes in the Skies deck or something, then
Of course, there's a cord.
yeah. So then you're not going to be as rewarded, but a lot I've seen White of Precinct 6 get out of control very fast.
Very quickly become 5 or 6 power.
Yeah. If you get a lucky break on it too, where it's like they play the Balustrade Spy and you hit 7, you know, or hit 5 and hit 3 creatures, +3/+3 permanently, just making them a 4/4. It's insane.
Pretty good, yeah.
So White of Precinct 6, really high pick. I would say probably second to fifth, maybe. Really, really strong card. You should be picking it early, definitely. Okay, so that's it for black cards. Let's kind of evaluate overall. I feel like we were just talking about Golgari once again the entire time.
There were a few Rakdos ones. Like,
What
Extort is good in Rakdos. Just is. You know?
Extort is good in Rakdos.
Gutter Skulk is probably good in Rakdos too, over Golgari, I would think. You know, it's more relevant there, where you want to be aggressive early. Balustrade Spy is probably better in Golgari, where you can potentially grind yourself to put Scavenge onto it, and then...
And that's just something that we've discussed as maybe being a
potential
good
strategy,
option. Yeah.
and like not something to necessarily gear your deck toward, but it's notable that all of the mill effects that are grind target a player usually. So you can do one on yourself and then change the rest to your opponent just to see what you can get, you know. So it really depends on your deck and if you have fuel out of the graveyard.
Yeah, and for that note, like maybe sometimes in full block, the grind ability will reward your opponent who's Golgari. You could end up actually rewarding your opponent from trying to mill them out.
Yeah.
With enough scavenge cards. So you almost have to be wary in some matches who you're grinding. Maybe it's to your advantage just to mill yourself so you don't guarantee them any scavenge cards.
Yeah. If you're not dedicated mill, it might be to your advantage to mill yourself with a few of these.
So that's interesting, but I guess once again overall it's mostly geared towards Golgari. We know that Gutter Skulk is like playable in Rakdos for sure because what's the 2-drop 2/2 Tavern Swindler?
Oh yeah.
So and that was played in Rakdos. It wasn't like it wasn't a high priority in Rakdos, but it was certainly playable in Rakdos. And it was very good in multiples. It was fine. You wanted that, you know. You were rewarded for like Deviant Glees and other cheap enchantments. Spectral, or not Spectral Flight, Pursuit of Flight.
Ogre Slumlord's good in both, but probably better in Rakdos still because you can attack into their blocking position that's good and still get Death Touchers.
That can finally block. You know?
Or attack in and like still like guarantee damage or get you more creatures.
Yeah. So that's cool. And like we said, Slumlord doesn't really interact that much with Gatecrashes guild mechanics that it's on color with. So it doesn't really interact that well with Cypher. It doesn't really interact that well with Extort, but it's good enough on its own. Its ability is powerful enough where it can just be run on its own. How are we running on time? 143. Do we have enough time to go through? Yeah, let's go through red. Let's do red, and then we'll do our draft, and then we'll be done.
Okay.
So, Bomber Core, first Gatecrash red creature, 1 and a red for a 1/2 human soldier. Battalion, whenever Bomber Core and at least 2 other creatures attack, Bomber Core deals 1 damage to target creature or player. So Battalion is the Boros guild mechanic. Bomber Core, pretty low pick most of the time, but some decks I've seen use it to pretty good effect. In multiples, it can be very good, as it not only benefits, the Battalion on itself, but you can multiple ping things to sometimes just destroy creatures before they even get a chance to block.
Beautiful Thrall is like the best one to.
Yeah, and force them to regen.
Yeah.
It's very good. A Drakewing Krasis. I had a dude today. He played, and this is ridiculous. Devour Flesh just came off so huge. He played. I had like a Gyre Sage that was like a 3/4 or like a 2/3, and he had. I don't know what his 2-drop was, but he had a Bomber Core too, and he was off his white mana, and I had a Drakewing Krasis, and he active treasoned the Gyre Sage, and I got to Devour Flesh him in response to keep him off the Battalion. So it really, he really needed that. He had fallen behind enough where he really needed that full benefit. So Devour Fleshing in response, I think he just snap seeded in response actually. So it totally
changed the game that much.
Yeah, he needed that Battalion trigger to stop that Drakewing, because Drakewing just takes the game over.
Yeah.
It really does. If they've already fallen behind and you have your fast, you're 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop ready. Let's go.
Yeah.
Can really be devastating.
Is the ultimate 3-drop too.
We've played Bomber Core though, and
it works.
It's reasonable.
Yeah.
Like we said, 2-drops are premiums. This one much more underwhelming than usual because it's got 1 power, and Boros is a deck that really wants to dish out that damage fast. When you evaluate this alongside a card like Daring Skyjack, it feels a little more underwhelming, but it should be noted that this card can kill Daring Skyjack, so
it has a little more versatility.
It's
to
more
it in the Battalion range, but
it's better late game.
Yeah,
I feel like,
but it's not a good early game necessarily threat, I guess,
unless you have fast creatures to support it.
Yeah,
I guess the Foundry Street Denizen deck, I could totally see this being played alongside that. So if you have the mediocre, if you were forcing Boros from a rare, or something, you first picked a Fire Main Avenger, and maybe you were running short on, you had a Towering Thunderfist, and you're just running short on those, good 2 and 3-drop, play Bomber Core. It's perfectly fine. It'll at least give you a little bit of resilience to get to your later game Boros threats. Next card is Cinder Elemental, 3 in a red, 2/2 elemental. It's got X in red, tap, sacrifice Cinder Elemental. Cinder Elemental deals X damage to target creature or player. Really cool card. Pretty early pick. Maybe 3rd or 4th pick. Something like that. 2nd to 4th pick even. Because the advantage of picking this one early is it's monocolor, so it fits into a lot of strategies.
And it really can be splashed too.
Yeah, I actually think this card will be even more highly picked once we've got full block, because Rakdos in particular, Rakdos creatures alongside Cinder Elemental is very good. And even it's just having a fireball effect is so good. And it might seem clunky because it's 4 mana, 2 toughness, but in this one's case, it's nice to be able to kill a creature that's giving you a hard time. It's good to use this as a finisher for killing your opponent.
Yeah.
Overall, like I said, probably a 3rd or 4th, 5th pick. It's uncommon, so you don't
see it that often.
You don't get an opportunity to see it very often.
It's not a great combat creature either, so
yeah,
it's not going to pull you ahead that way. But
that's true. And that's a spot where it's actually really bad.
Yeah.
Is if you've fallen behind and then your best play is a turn 4 Cinder Elemental, you're probably getting beaten down too fast, or you have to trade it off for a creature you really didn't want to trade it off for.
It follows up Krakenura really well in Gruul. The any evolved guys really at 3 in Gruul. 2 or 3.
That's cool. No, I agree. Cinder Elemental's good. We've definitely played it for full value. I feel like I've never like done the 9 damage nuke with it, but I could see it happening. Crypt Ghast, I feel like that's a good mana sink for him in Rakdos. If you manage to get Crypt Ghast the rare, and also Cinder Elemental, that would be pretty cool though.
It would be.
Huge fireball. Are there any other fireball
It'll
effects in full blind?
Street Spasm would be really
Well,
good.
the funny thing is that it could already happen. You could already be drafting like a Boros Orzhov deck and run Cinder Elemental and Crypt Ghast. But then again, I guess you're not getting the full value of Crypt Ghast. Okay, so the next card is Ember Beast. 2 in a red for a 3/4 beast, and it can't attack or block alone. I kind of have a soft spot for this card.
I love this card.
Ember Beast is cool. It's bad if you don't have enough creatures to support it, but the good news about Ember Beast, good multiples. So let's say you're the 4 Ember Beast deck. At least if you play another Ember Beast, they can both attack and block suddenly. I guess a disadvantage is they have to double block. So if an opponent
they can block separate creatures.
They can block separate.
Oh, but they have to block together.
They
always have to block.
Yeah. So sometimes it would take a big creature to be able to get over that 8 toughness wall. But another disadvantage of that is still, if you have 2 Ember Beasts, they can kill either of your creatures and then suddenly...
Or pacify 1.
You're left defenseless.
Yeah.
But that was the problem with Ember Beast and any other creature. You really need a lot of creatures to make Ember Beast work. But when he's on, man, he attacks really well. He does exactly what you want to do in Rakdos. He does exactly what you want to do in Boros. Does exactly what you want to do in Gruul. Even, wears that Blood Rush well.
Yeah, he's a good card.
I
like him.
Ember Beast is cool. He actually goes relatively early too. Maybe like mid still, but maybe like 5th to 7th pick or something like that. But yeah, I mean, if I'm in red, I'm happy to play Ember Beast. 3-drop, 3/4 in red. Not too often do you get that. Red is typically a little more on the inefficient creature side. It's really white and green that have the very efficient creatures, and then blue, red, and black are kind of left with the okay creatures. So next card is Fire Fist Striker. 1 in a red for a 2/1 human soldier. It has Battalion. Target creature can't block this turn. So if you attack with 3 creatures, you can disable a blocker too. It's actually a really relevant ability, and for that reason, it is an uncommon. Typically, you wouldn't see Goblin Pikers at uncommon either, but this Battalion effect is actually very relevant and cool. I guess sort of the lame thing about it is because it's only a 2/1. Disabling a blocker sometimes just means they'll kill your Fire Fist Striker if they have another blocker. But it also like keeps your other 2 Battalion creatures, getting through or whatever. Disabling a blocker is really important.
It can be
against the right deck, stopping that Krakenura.
At the right turn too. It's all about when,
Like cool alongside Hellraiser Goblin, which is typically a card you don't want to be playing. And that's probably the next card to be honest. But Fire Fist Striker, I feel like is actually picked relatively early too. This card's going to be really cool in Rakdos. Wow.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Perfectly fine in Is It alongside, I don't know, Frostburn Weird or something.
Yeah, it's good with Dynacharge too.
Yeah, that's cool. Are there any...
if you got Skyjacks and stuff.
It's good alongside multiple token creation spells. In fact, Battalion in general. Like, Eyes in the Skies is going to be the dream card for Boros. It's like basically just create Battalion. Create Battalion at instant speed too. And it's an evasive Battalion. So regardless of what Battalion creature you have.
It could be like Skyjack, and that's really good.
Yeah, getting in for 5.
Yeah,
I really like that a lot. It's going to be a lot more difficult to get to 3 or 4 Skyjack decks when you're in full block. But
you probably get 2.
Yeah, definitely. And I swear I've had like 4 one draft, and you just feel ridiculous. But Fire Fist Striker, relatively early pick. It's going to be very good with all of the guilds that it's associated with that in full block that we know of so far. So very good. Next is Founder Street Denizen. So this is the one that we said is tied for the worst Denizen alongside
right now in Gatecrash.
Alongside
Shadow Alley.
Denizen. This is a 1-mana, 1/1 Goblin Warrior, and whenever another red creature enters the battlefield under your control, gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Interestingly, good with Krinko.
Yeah, actually very cool with Krinko. Interesting.
But in Gatecrash, I've lost to it in the Nuts Boros deck. The Nuts Boros deck, that's literally like all battalion creatures. I could very easily see them just playing this as like, let's get that battalion online. Because when you're getting the battalion online, you don't really want to block the Foundry Street Denizen either.
Yeah, that's very true.
Because you kind of maybe need to block one of those battalion creatures. Like Ordrune Minotaur, suddenly, usually not that great of a card, but when it's getting in for double strike, feels pretty good. Feels like something that needs to be blocked. So Denizen, pretty bad outside of that. In Return to Ravnica, we thought maybe Rakdos could see some value from this. I mean, we've played the Rakdos decks where we play the what's the 1-drop inflatable lizard thing or whatever.
Bellows Lizard.
Yeah, Bellows Lizard. I mean, you're never happy about it, but we've done it. I might almost like this. No, I think I'd still like Bellows Lizard more, to be honest. But that's tough to say. I guess it depends on how many red creatures you have.
Yeah.
But is there anything that you can put out multiple red creatures with one spell?
Krinko's Command.
In
block?
Block that
No.
we know of. No? Because all the token producers are either green or white.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, Stolen Identity.
Yeah.
But
That's pretty
narrow.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I mean, the good news is Foundry Street Denizen goes late if you are the Nuts Boros deck in need of, some more
One-drops.
battalion triggers. But most of the time, you don't want to play this card, in my opinion. And most of the time, I'm not afraid when I see a turn 1 Foundry Street Denizen. Although sometimes I can be. It depends on the deck I'm playing. Like, I guess if you're slow and you see the turn 1 Foundry Street, its damage could add up fast. But overall, I don't really like it all that much. Okay, the next one's a Mythic Hellkite Tyrant, 4 and 2 red for a 6/5 dragon, flying trample. And when it deals combat damage to a player, gain control of all artifacts that player controls. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 20 or more artifacts, you win the game. Pretty awesome.
The secondary effects are not something that matter.
The abilities on it, besides the flying and the trample, are pretty irrelevant most of the time. But, I mean, it's still...
Flying Trample 6/5 is very good for 6 mana.
Yes, in red especially, but just perfect way to top out your curve.
Yeah. Misses fire breathing for sure. Wishes it had fire breathing.
But the fact that it's got the trample is very relevant. I mean, it should still be noted. It steals key runes. Steals equipment like riot gear. It's gonna steal Civic Saber.
That's true.
So it's cool.
It's not something that you can build around to get that winning clause.
But it's definitely some extra value.
Actually, I should say that. It doesn't matter if you play this to try and get that winning clause.
No, not at all. It's
Don't
just
even play toward it.
even more icing on a cake that's already a beautiful, beautiful cake. So, okay, Tyrant, we've been past it before, maybe just because some people just really value that, 2-drop removal spell more than the 6-drop bomb. I'm more of, draft the bomb kind of person. I like devastating, I like cards that are, Hellkite Tyrant is straight up, must answer. Deal with this right now or you're dead.
Yeah.
So, I'm more the person that plays cards like that. Especially one where it's 6, where it's, right at the top of most curves.
Yeah, and this one is particularly good with Gruul, actually, and Blood Rush.
Yeah, it's going to be... I agree. It's going to be great with Rakdos. It can't be stopped by Augur Spree. So even the Return to Ravnica removal is going to have a hard time dealing with it.
And it actually wields
Augur Spree very well. Yeah, I agree.
Deal 10 out of nowhere.
Very good. Do a Wrecking Ogre with Blood Rush with this. You do 18 damage.
That's sick.
Trample, double strike.
Yeah. You'd basically be dead. I don't think you'd survive.
So Hellkite Tyrant's sweet, and I've definitely played it in limited and been happy with it before. I've also played it in limited and never seen it.
Yeah.
6 mana, so sometimes you don't get to it, but it's worth it. I would slam it, pick one for sure. Hellraiser Goblin, next card. 2 in a red, 2/2 Goblin Berserker. Creatures you control have haste and attack each combat if able. It's an uncommon. Very suicidal card. I will say I've played it to really good effect before as well. Randomly, you can play it post-combat sometimes if you really need to block. If you were like just getting beat down too much.
It's actually a kind of cool card in Constructed with Krenko. If you
Oh yeah,
played
that's
like
kind of cool.
1-drop on turn 1, and then Krenko's Command, or a 2-drop Goblin on turn 2.
It's pretty
Follow
interesting.
this up, yeah, and then do Krenko and put out more Goblins and then swing with them. With Foundry Street Denizen in that style of deck, and I hate to say that, but that would be where Foundry Street Denizen would be.
No, it's
really
kind of
good.
funny. It's actually really funny, but I feel like that could work. Like, yeah, you're right. Turn 1 Foundry Street, turn 2 Krenko's Command, turn 3 Hellraiser.
That's
Turn-
already 4 Goblins, so then Krenko is the 5th.
Turn 4 Krenko.
Yeah, get 5 Goblins. You dealt 3 damage on turn 1 potentially.
You
turn
get
2.
+4/+0 to your Foundry Street. You get.
You played the Krenko that turn.
Oh, so
and then you tapped it, so it's +6/+0.
Oh, okay.
Because he counts himself for Goblins too.
Oh wow, so it's
So
seven,
if you had
seven
the Krenko,
power, 7 power on the Foundry Street Denizen, plus the 4 goblins you created,
that are attacking in as well, and
Yeah.
the 2 Krenko's Command and the
and the
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser goblin. So that's just a huge amount of damage. What is that? You said it was +6/+0, so 7 + 2, 9, plus another 6 tokens, so 15 damage.
It's +5 tokens, so 14. But the Hellraiser too.
So 16 damage.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
wow.
Then you would have already attacked for 3 on turn 2, and then on turn 3 you would have attacked.
So it is actually lethal. Wow.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Goblins decked on the horizon.
Hopefully the next block has. Well, it might not. Greek theme or Roman theme.
Still, it'd be kind of cool to make that deck.
Yeah.
That does sound kind of fun. Plus, you get to play Legion Loyalist too.
Mhm.
Who's the next card? Well, let's finish about Hellraiser Goblin. We didn't really give our opinion on it. I don't like it very much. It's not a very good card. It's a little too suicidal for me.
Mhm.
We've played against it in situations where we've literally just dismantled their board because of it. Where it's like, yeah, sure, we'll let your Hellraiser Goblin live. We're just gonna cripple the rest of your army.
Yeah, exactly. Like, please keep attacking. Send more at us.
So it puts them in a tough spot
Yeah.
sometimes. Alternatively, turns on Battalion extremely well.
Mhm.
So in the Foundry Street Denizen deck alongside Daring Skyjack, I could see that good. Denizen, Skyjack, Hellraiser is pretty
Mhm. And-
quick.
He plays well into Rakdos also.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Bringing out unleashed guys that have haste.
yes. Rakdos swings for the fences already. Playing like a Dead Reveler as a 3/4 haste.
2 Gore Clan Rampage or Gorehouse Chainwalkers.
Playing Chainwalkers. Playing Flailer
Yeah, Flailer.
as like a 4 power. Playing Bloodfray Giant as a 5 power haste Trampler.
Haste, yeah, that'd be really good.
Very
Out of
strong.
nowhere,
Okay,
yeah.
so we'll play well with Rakdos. We're speculating. But right now, it's supposed to play well with Boros.
It looks like most of these red cards, actually, just by having Blood Rush and Battalion, are playing well in Rakdos.
Already.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, so Hellraiser Goblin tends to go pretty late. I've seen it abused fairly well. I've abused it very rarely. Goes late. I wouldn't recommend playing it unless you are definitely the fast Boros deck. If you are the all 2-drop Boros deck, go for it. And if you're confident that you can deal 20 damage by turn 4 or 5.
Mhm.
But otherwise, I would say it can be a liability. It's really cool, I guess, with like active treason, because then you're like eliminating blockers too, and still getting your haste through. So, you know, if they were like leaving their creatures back to like block, now that you guys have haste, you could like act, and then
Mhm.
I don't know. So it puts a lot of pressure fast. Good with madcap skills, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Like play a creature that has haste, madcap that creature.
Yeah, actually, Madcap skills in general is. We've just discussed that as being a great card.
Yeah, and Rakdos especially is just going to be insane on like a Flailer.
Mhm.
But yeah, Hellraiser Goblin goes pretty late. Don't play it unless you really have the right deck for it. The next card is Legion Loyalist. It's a rare 1 mana 1/1 haste. I've kind of noticed the theme here. This 1 mana 1/1 rares.
Mhm.
They've got the
Realm Right.
I swear we saw another one too, didn't we? In black?
Black.
Or no, not rare. I guess Thrall Parasite
Yeah.
is
Just a
it's
one
just an
drop.
uncommon, but it's sort of like this more rare 1 mana 1/1s that
Mhm.
have like semi-relevant abilities. But anyway, Legion Loyalist is a 1/1 Goblin Soldier with haste, and it's got Battalion. When it attacks, creatures you control gain first strike, trample, and can't be blocked by creature tokens. Can't be
creature
blocked by creature tokens. Actually, the third ability, it's kind of funny. For the pre-release, Boros, I played Boros, and I got a Legion Loyalist and I played it, and I had I didn't even read the third part of this third ability on it, which is actually going to be really relevant in full block when you've got a guild that's dedicated, populate, So Legion Loyalist can be very good. I mean, I think the ultimate shortcoming with it is it can be blocked by anything, but
at least it comes out on turn 1 and does damage potentially.
I think it's cool. I don't typically pick it early. I don't even typically pick it late. Like I usually pick 2 drops over it. I'd almost rather in some situations just have a Skyjack. You know what I mean? I'd rather have a 3-power 2-drop than a 1-mana 1/1 haste 1-drop with a potentially relevant battalion ability. So Legion Loyalist, not super high pick. Some people I guess would prioritize it higher than I would. But what do you think of Legion Loyalist?
It's okay. It's not my favorite card. I have never been a fan of aggressive cards in general, though, because that's not my playstyle. But it's a good card.
It's like Raging Goblin.
Yeah, it is like a Raging Goblin, but with a pseudo-relevant ability.
Yeah.
It can be good if you've got.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited
and,
to see the creature token aspect.
With Dynacharge and Battalion,
Yeah.
he's so much better, because then it's like, oh, surprise! I'm a 3/1 first strike trample, guy now, and all of my buddies are +2 also first strike trample.
Ooh, what about Wild Beastmaster? Would that work alongside him reasonably well?
Yeah, if you could pump the Beastmaster.
Yeah.
Blood Rush works really well with Beastmaster.
Yeah, I think
we already called that.
Yeah,
out.
we did. But that's interesting to know. Legion Loyalist would play into that deck well, but then I guess you're talking about multiple rares, so. But it's gonna happen, it'll happen once. Okay, so Legion Loyalist, mid to late pick. I typically don't play it.
Neither of those rares is a high pick either. I will say that.
Yeah, and maybe that'll change in full block. We don't know. But yeah, pretty much a later pick. It plays fine in Rakdos. Not super exciting, is it? I guess it's good alongside Frostburn Weird, if you can get the battalion.
Yeah, actually, it is really good with Frostburn.
4-power, first strike,
but that's
trample
still
too.
red. Yeah.
First strike, trample, can't be blocked by tokens. Not bad. Molten Primordial is the next card. So here's the red Primordial. 5 and 2 red, 7 mana, 6/4 haste. When it enters the battlefield for each opponent, gain control of up to one target creature that player controls until in a turn. Untap those creatures, they gain haste until in a turn. So Molten Primordial is essentially Zealous Conscript for a couple more mana, and you get a beefier creature. But that is a world of difference, unfortunately, because Zealous Conscript is where Zealous Conscript was insanely powerful and limited. This is very powerful, but you gotta wait a while before you can get it online. And the later,
really good.
Yeah. Well, and that was also you could steal permanents. Was it not? It must have been non-land permanents, right? Because it wouldn't make.
I think so.
It's not like it would matter stealing the land.
Yeah, maybe it is just untap target permanent. Get control of it.
That might. I think it is actually that. That makes more sense. But Molten just steals creatures, and the fact that it's so expensive is, I mean, think about it. Later game, Active Treason.
Attached to a 6/4 haste.
It becomes weaker and weaker, though, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, okay.
Active Treason in the late game becomes weaker than Active Treason on turn 3 after your 1 and 2 drop,
If you're stalemated,
so
then it's like...
There are situations, if you blindside someone with this and they were banking on a blocker, they're screwed. If they left back their Guardian of the Gateless and you're like, oh, don't mind if I do.
Yeah.
Broken good there. But there's sometimes where it's stealing a creature, even with the 6/4 haste, isn't quite enough. But overall, I really like this card. I think it's just a lot of times when you're in red, especially in Gatecrash, you're not wanting to play 7 drops. That's not what your strategy's feeding into. Both Gruul and Boros typically aren't playing or don't want to play 7 drops. They'd rather just play cheap creatures, kill with them. But I've lost to Molten Primordial in embarrassing fashion before. I've also played it. The next card is Ripscale Predator. 4 and 2 red for a 6/5 lizard. It can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. And it's an uncommon. Surprisingly good. Played it before. The fact that it can't be blocked by 2 or more creatures is actually
pretty relevant.
Yeah, it really is. I like it. It's a good finisher. Good finisher for Gruul. It's a good finisher for Boros. It makes more sense in Gruul alongside Blood Rush. Yeah. So along, like, what would you rather play when it comes to this versus like Ruination Worm?
Well, I am a big fan of Ruination Worm, but I guess this is probably better just because of the can't be blocked clause.
Yeah,
It
even
means
though you're
that
kind of
they-
sacrificing a power, like it's basically like you're trading a +1/+1 for.
They have to block with 2 creatures. So
Yeah.
they can't just chump it, which I really like. So they can't just be like, oh, I've got Dutiful Thrall. They have to be like, oh, I have to commit 2 creatures
Yeah,
to
you're
this,
right.
you know?
Sometimes it just really like robs them of creatures
Mhm.
fast.
hmm
So Ripscale Predator is a good card. And the nice thing is it goes relatively late too because
It's expensive.
yeah. So you can see it probably 6th to 10th pick. And it's an uncommon, so once again see it a little bit less, but it's definitely a playable card. Next is Scorchwalker, 3 and a red for a 5/1 elemental. It also has Blood Rush for 1 and 2 red, and discard it, and target attacking creature gets +5, +1 until end of turn. Is this the first Blood Rush creature we've talked about? That can't be right. I feel like we talked.
Maybe it is.
Could be. I feel like it is. So Blood Rush is the Gruul mechanic, and it's you discard it from your hand, and target attacking creature gets plus whatever.
Its power is plus whatever its toughness is.
Plus
and
whatever
gains
abilities
Whatever abilities,
but-
except for Blood Rush that it has.
Evergreen abilities typically though.
I think they've only done evergreen abilities on the creatures.
And
with Blood
evergreen
Rush.
abilities are abilities
First strike,
that
double
have
strike.
are abilities that have keywords are evergreen
Their
abilities. Right?
evergreen abilities are words that they would use in a core set.
Oh
matter
no,
what.
no, you're right. That's what it is. Because there are actually a lot of mechanics. Every mechanic has a keyword,
Mhm.
but specifically mechanics that they'll bring back. Like, yeah, I guess you're right. Just in a core set, is that like really the?
Well, ones that they always have in like every core set and every set. So double strike, first strike, trample. I think those are like the main ones that we see because all like vigilance and haste are both irrelevant,
Mhm.
and those would be green, and reach is irrelevant too. So like first strike, double strike, trample are pretty much the only abilities that have been granted, I think.
Okay. Do you want to say anything about Scorchwalker in general?
Yeah, I like 5/1s because they're like a removal spell that my opponent doesn't want to attack into, I guess.
And I kind of undervalued this one early. The Blood Rush on it can be really relevant.
Mhm.
There's sometimes where it's just like a 3-mana lava axe out of
Mhm.
nowhere. Obviously, a liability. Blood Rush in general is a liability in like the Orzhov match where you have to contend with all the removal.
Removal.
So you really have to like choose your opportunities wisely to use Blood Rush because you could catch yourself in a 2-for-1. I got that earlier today too. He had one creature and he tried. I had a blocker for his creature, and he Blood Rushed and I Devour Flesh. So in response, and just straight up 2-for-1. You know.
Yeah, and you didn't even get the
You didn't
toughness
get to-
boost off of the creature blood rushing.
Didn't
either.
get the toughness boost. Didn't get to kill my creature that was on
Mhm.
defense. Lost 2 cards. So Blood Rush can be a huge liability against instant speed removal.
Yep.
But in that same respect, they're tapped out. Sometimes Blood Rush, if you just have enough of it and enough creatures to get by their blockers, it's game
Well,
over.
I attacked into my opponent. They were must have been at 10 life,
Mhm.
and I had an armored transport out, and
Wrecking Ogre in your hand.
Wrecking Ogre in my hand, and a Bomber Core out, and I attacked in with both. He had a Frog Lizard to block, so he blocked my Bomber Core, which was the one I needed him to block.
Because
And
he
I-
was at
yeah,
exactly 10 life.
Yeah, so I Wrecking Ogre for the kill there.
Very impressive.
Yeah,
That sounded like it would be fun.
yeah, that was yeah.
So Scorchwalker is actually pretty good. Goes relatively late, maybe 5th to 8th pick or something. Typically more along the 8th line, just because it's. I mean, you're paying 4 mana for 1 toughness. Be called a weakness, but the fact that it's got that sort of lava axe feeling to it in the right deck, it can be really strong.
If you're Boros, it's a little stronger than if you're Gruul.
And if you're Boros and you have Gift of Orzhova, I've yet to do that, but I feel like on
Yeah.
this card it's really good. 6/2 flying lifelink, pretty strong. Next card is Skinbrand Goblin, 1 and a red for a 2/1 Goblin Warrior, and you can Blood Rush for 1 red, and they get +2/+1. So Skinbrand Goblin you can play infinitely. Really awesome card. Just a
relevant in almost every stage of the game too.
Yeah. it's going to be relevant in every guild, even in Return of Ravnica. Much more so in Rakdos, I'd imagine.
Oh, yeah.
But just really good card. I like it a lot. Maybe I've played like 3 before. You should always be happy though, because there's just situations where it's an excellent combat trick, and doubling as something that feeds on more Blood Rush also makes it really good. So I like it a lot, and it's relatively high pick for a common 2/1 for 2, really. But like there's the theme of this podcast. I mean, 2 mana in limited, 2 mana creatures are premium. They're very, very often premium. They're, you know, at least in the last few draft sets that we've done. It's really been a while since 2-drop creatures in limited haven't been good. You know what I mean? At least 2-drop bears. So even though this technically isn't a bear because it doesn't have the 2 toughness, I'd say it's much better than a bear. I like it.
It is very good.
Next one is Towering Thunderfist. 4 in a red for a 4/4 giant soldier, and then it has white. It gains vigilance. Probably one of my favorite 5-drops from this set. The vigilance is very relevant, so in Boros, but the fact that you can play it in Gruul is a 5-mana 4/4. What is that? Bonebreaker Giant. You play it as a Bonebreaker Giant.
I've played it.
So what do you think about this card?
It's good. It's good enough.
And it's picked relatively mid
to late.
too. Yeah, even late sometimes. Jake and I love to play the 3-color rock deck where you just grab as many key runes as you can. So
Or Verdant even and just drop them.
this is a perfectly reasonable 5-drop to ramp into. 4/4. So I like him. Not necessarily going to be any better or worse in Izzet or Rakdos.
Yeah, not much to add.
Actually, probably worse. I think he'll actually get worse with the new.
With the rest
with
of the
with
block.
full block, yeah, in Rakdos, and just because it's like less, there's probably less times where you're going to be giving him vigilance.
Yeah, or
'Cause
be
you're
able
more
to play a 5-drop in the first place. Like,
Yeah.
there's going to be so much aggression, and one that only covers the ground isn't going to be that great.
So I speculate that right now he's better than when he's going to be in full block. Yashno Shanktail, next card. Oh, here's our first strike we were looking for earlier. 3 in a red for a 3/1 Vyashno Warrior. He's got first strike, and he's got Blood Rush, 2 in a red, and they get +3/+1 and gain first strike. Really cool card.
So
3
this
power
one,
3 power first strike is very good.
This one does work with Dimir Simic, so you can do Incursion Specialist, Cypher onto this guy if they're both getting through, and deal 6 damage that way.
It's kind of cool, yeah, with your Incursion Specialist.
Mhm.
But your Specialist could still be blocked.
Yeah, before combat damage, yeah.
So there is that aspect of it, but it does get the boost
Mhm.
before it deals damage, so that's kind of cool. Before regular creature.
Yeah, if they don't
combat
block the Shanktail, though, you still would get a 3/3 that they had blocked, you know?
So Shanktail's very good. I feel like it's pretty high pick. It's also an uncommon. I like it, both Boros and Gruul. It's going to be awesome in Rakdos. It's going to be awesome in Izzet. First Strike is definitely a luxury there's not much of in Return to Ravnica. You've got your Splatter Thug. You've got your... What else? I mean, you got your Double Strikers too, I guess, with Wrecking Ogre and Rare, but... I don't know. I feel like there's not a ton
There
of
isn't
First
a ton of
Strikers
First Strike, no.
in this block.
Ethereal Armor grants it, at least, and... I mean, there are, I'm sure, some white creatures I can't think of, like Fencing Ace has Double Strike, and... So there are cards, it's just... There's not a ton, that's for sure.
Alright, the next one's Warmind Infantry. It's 2 in a red for a 2/3 Elemental Soldier. Battalion, whenever it attacks with 2 other creatures, gets +2/+0 until end of turn. I actually like Warmind Infantry quite a bit. It's got the 3 toughness, which I love, and it can be very strong in the quick Boros deck. It's 2 and 3 drops are both really good to have. 3 drops with 3 toughness, especially. So this guy fills his role in Boros very well. Have played him in Gruul. He's perfectly fine there too. So I like Warmind Infantry quite a bit, and he's mid-pick, so you should see him maybe 5th to 7th, something like that. Cool. It's going to be cool in Rakdos for sure. It's going to be cool in Izzet maybe. Izzet's going to be weird. I feel like none of these really benefit Izzet as much as they do benefit Rakdos, like you said earlier. So interesting to note that. So last card in red is Wrecking Ogre. 4 in a red, 3/3 Ogre Warrior with double strike, and it's got Blood Rush for 3 and 2 red. Discard it, attacker gets +3/+3 and gains double strike. Pretty devastating when you get to that point. I usually slam dunk Wrecking Ogre when I see him
Yeah.
because I like him so much.
He's easy to play on a splash too, with just 1 red, like, to
Yeah.
cast him.
Just as a 3/3 double
Yeah,
striker. There was
that's
one
a
draft
really-
I had multiple Wrecking Ogres and I got them
Yeah.
like both out.
That's really good.
Yeah, he just seeded.
Yeah.
I mean 2/3/3 double strikers just that's
Mhm.
difficult to block. The interesting thing to note about double strikers is how well like 3/4s block 3/3 double strikers,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
They like do perfectly against
Yeah.
double strikers. So
Yeah, 1 toughness more than the power of the double striker is
Yeah.
like the perfect foil to the double striker.
it really is.
Yeah,
But it has to be able to have the power to
kill it also. Yeah.
so there is that challenge, but still, like Horror of the Dim, I feel like I've blocked Wrecking Over the Horror of the Dim before or
That
something.
feels good.
Yeah, it does. Even though it's still a trade.
I'd still make that trade. My
Definitely.
shitty comment for your good rare.
But I've lost to Wrecking Ogre Blood Rush down to a Sky Knight Legionnaire.
It's so easy to
Yeah.
lose to that. What is that? 10 damage
10
out
damage,
of nowhere.
10 damage out of
Yeah.
nowhere. So Wrecking Ogre is a very strong card. It's going to be absolutely bonkers, and it's probably just going to be best in Rakdos, actually.
Mm.
I can't
Good on
imagine.
Bloodfray Giant.
I can't
Or-
imagine. Oh God, Bloodfray Giant, 16 trample double strike,
Block me.
insane. It's gonna be cool, even like on a 2-drop, like your what's the 2/3 Unleash Death Touch one?
Oh yeah. No, what is it?
I was gonna say Kill Suit Cultist, but that's from Ravnica.
Thrill Kill.
Thrill Kill Assassin, yeah. That's got to be a rogue too, right?
No, Assassin.
Oh, okay.
Assassin's creature type.
Okay, well, that's all for red creatures. Is there anything we want to say overall? We did say it's probably rewarding. It looks like it's going to be rewarding Rakdos much more than it is it? But that's only because is it
spell based?
Is it spell based, and the blue aspect of it is a lot more evasive.
Mm.
So it's almost like the blue spells from Gatecrash are going to probably are the ones that are benefiting is it more than the red spells from Gatecrash
Yeah.
benefit is it. So kind of an unfortunate aspect of Gatecrash. So that means in Pack 2 it's typically you shouldn't be the red cards from Gatecrash aren't going to be helping you that much for your Return to Ravnica is it deck if you have to build that. Or just not as much as you'd like it to, not as much as it's helping Rakdos if you go that direction. So interesting to note that. I think where are we running now? I think we're about ready to do, it's perfect time.
So draft.
Perfect time, start a draft. So let's see what we got here. I may have to get a couple tickets, but we're going to get this going. So I just won a draft. I think I mentioned that earlier, but I was pretty happy about that because it was a totally mediocre deck. So Gatecrash draft number 30 is the last one I did, and I thought it was pretty hilarious. But yeah, I managed to pull it out with a totally mediocre deck, and I totally redrafted it too, which is funny. So I need one more ticket. I gotta sell something here real quick. Other than that, I've been kind of doing poorly recently on stream for draft. I've been doing not so good. Jake's been witnessing. Because we had the most nuts Boros stack like in stream 2 days ago. Oh my god. It was so good. It was 2 True Fire Paladin, 2 Daring Skyjack. What were the other 2-drop? We had the other two Wojak Halberdiers.
Yeah.
What else did that deck have? Do you remember?
Do we have a guild mage in that one? Or not?
No, we didn't have a Sunhome Guild Mage.
Just having 2 True Fire, 2 Daring Skyjack, and 2 Wojak.
Yeah, our 2-drops were insane.
Crazy.
Oh, no, it was insane. We had
We
all of
double
the
Ember Beast too.
We had all the Boros rares. We had every single one.
Foundries or
It was
Foundry
absolutely
Denizen
insane.
or whatever. Foundry Champion, that's what it is.
Yeah, we had Spark
Trooper.
Trooper. We had
Firemain Avenger.
it was insane, and we lost that deck round 2, and it was to color screw, unfortunately. Such a disappointing way to lose when you have like the nuts deck,
Yeah.
Because that was like, and the funny thing about it was, it didn't even come together until like midway through pack 3, where it was like close to back True Fire Paladins. We're like, oh my god, this deck just got real.
Yeah. And that was a real quick turnaround too.
It was.
Because we were like, I think we were just like, what are we? We took the first pick Fire Main Avenger, and then we started to like kind of push ourselves
Branch out into. Didn't we almost like pick a Drakewing Crisis or something like that?
Yeah.
We like picked an early Drakewing Crisis to try and
see what was open.
Yeah.
Basically.
Try to play with to what guild was open, but I don't know. Magic's been it's real streaky for me. It's real streaky. We'll do like real good 3-4 drafts in a row, make it to the finals, and then it'll be like 6, before I get to it again. So it's tough sometimes. Drafting all the time is really difficult. That's why I greed draft sometimes. I know people don't like to watch it that much, but I can't help it. It's the only way I can afford to do as many drafts as I do. I do want to set up a store online, and if people would be receptive to that, I would really appreciate it.
Like trade cards out of your
if they would be like willing to trade with the Seems Good Magic bot, that would motivate me to do it. I'd like to hear feedback about that.
I wonder how the bot program works. Have you used it before?
I have not. I've seen the website for it before, but I think it's some sort of software that you like purchase from somebody who designed it, and then it's just sort of like a integrated number system that is dynamic, so it changes with the prices of the market. So it's pretty cool. You probably have to constantly update the software or something like that, but that's how you update the prices, maybe.
Keep current.
I'm not exactly sure, but that's how I feel like it works, how it's going to work. But you would have to leave a computer on all day with it, right? So because you have to be logged in.
Right.
So there is that aspect of it. You do have to have like a dedicated computer on all day getting your tickets. But it's not a huge deal, I guess. Close to starting the draft here. We're at 6. What do you guess? Let's guess the rare.
Abzat.
I always guess Abzat because I just want that fat ticket loot. But Boros Reckoner is only rare, not mythic, and he's still worth a lot. I may get greedy for Shocklands. We'll see. A lot of them are still worth 3 tickets.
Yeah.
We're at 7 players in this draft. We're so close.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. Yeah. What guild do we play the least of, would you say? We're pretty spread out, I would say. Maybe Gruul, like dedicated Blood Rush Gruul. We don't play too terribly often. I do like it. Okay, so pack 1, our relevant cards, we've got Lazov Dimir, Mastermind. We have White of Precinct 6, Zamak Guildmage, and that about does it for the first pick. So, there's also Cloudfin Raptor as well. If I was going to pick anything, it's probably the Zamak Guildmage because I like Simic the most, but we can also easily do White of Precinct 6, which works excellent in both Dimir and Orzhov.
Lazov is sadly
I don't
great.
really like Lazov that much.
Not in limited.
No.
He's not good.
He's not that good. I've snapped him up early before and tried him, and I was unimpressed.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have a Raptor or a Guildmage. I think I want the Guildmage. There's enough value you get off of it late game.
Yeah, we don't pass much of a Simic signal except for the Raptor, really.
I don't mind picking white. It's not bad. It's more monocolor. Dimir is cool. It's good with mill. Mill decks are fun to play.
Could still be Orzhov. A lot of the mill isn't blue.
But I think we actually just take the Guildmage because Guildmages are so inherently powerful. So it's early enough. We want that Zamak Guildmage. All right. Pick 2, we've got Gruul Rage Beast, Incursion Specialist, Dimir Charm, Kingpin's Pet, Ember Beast. That's really all the cards we can consider. Zamak Guildmage is playable in a Rug deck with Ember Beast. Kingpin's Pet, unfortunately not playable alongside Zamak Guildmage. Dimir Charm is playable alongside Guildmage.
So is Specialist. And
as is Specialist, which evolves fairly well. And Rage Beast is actually playable in Rug as well, and
it's actually a splashable card in Simic.
I'm not opposed to picking the Rage Beast here. It is a 7-drop, which I admit is a little bit weak, but we're really not passing that much that goes with the Zamek Guildmage.
Yeah.
Just the Incursion Specialist that's directly on color with it. I think there's enough upside to Rage Beast as a hard removal spell that we could take it here. So we're going to take a 7-drop. I'm okay with that.
Pit fight.
Next pack, we've got Realm Right, Debtor's Pulpit, Deathmantle Guildmage, Pit Fight, Prophetic Prism, and Boros Guildgate are cards that are still pretty good remaining in the pack. We're just going to slam the Pit Fight, I think, because it's excellent in Simic and Gruul, and the first 2 picks go fine with it.
Oh.
Alright, so next pack we've got Simic Charm, Debtor's Pulpit again, Disciple of the Old Way, Sage's Road Denizen. Those are the best cards remaining, and a Gutter Skulk as well. I think we'll just slam the Simic Charm. It's probably my favorite. No, I guess Boros Charm's my favorite in the set. Maybe the full block so far, but Simic Charm has got to be right up there. Super strong card. So next we've got Prophetic Prism, Burst of Strength.
Ruination Worm.
Ruination Worm is definitely playable, an option. I am not opposed to Prophetic Prism here, but I do like Burst of Strength quite a bit, and it's going to be playing a lot better if we get Metropolis Sprites or stuff that, I mean, just in general, it's a very strong trick, and you can play it in multiples. I may just want the Burst here.
Okay.
Are you opposed to that?
No.
Okay. Next pick, we've got Ripscale Predator, Rapid Hybridization, Vizcopa Confessor, Devour Flesh are the best cards remaining. I think we just want the Rapid Hybridization. Yep. We look like we're getting past Simic pretty effectively here. So now next pack we've got Thespian Stage, Call of the Nightwing, Mind Eye Drake, Hands of Binding, Simic Guildgate. It's a very late Mind Eye Drake, and I think that's what we're going to want here over the Hands of Binding. It evolves more things, and it's just a really strong card in general. I do like Hands of Binding quite a bit, but I think Mind Eye Drake.
We don't have any evasive guys yet anyway.
Yeah, I think, and it just evolves everything. So next pack, Alpha Authority, Keymaster Rogue. Not much else, honestly, for us. I think we're just taking the Rogue. We don't have a 4-drop yet, and Keymaster Rogue's cool.
In general, actually.
Yeah. Next pack, we've got Slate Street Ruffian.
Snapjaw.
Yeah, and pretty much the only relevant card remaining is Snapjaw, which is sweet, because that's
Perfect
on color with us. So now we have Spell Rupture or Naturalize. I think this looks like a Spell Rupture deck. It could be, very easily, if we get enough cheap creatures. We don't have a ton now to support that, but we've played the double Spell Rupture deck before, and Spell Rupture does some work sometimes.
Realm Right here.
I think we've got Realm Right and a Naturalize and a Scatter Arc remaining. The Naturalize and the Scatter Arc would just be sideboard, so let's take the Realm Right.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have not much.
Well,
Razor
can do
Tip,
Bioshift.
Web, Bioshift, Tower Defense. We'll just take the Bioshift, but I guess it's fine with Burst of Strength.
And Zamek Guildmage, potentially.
And actually, Burst of Strength is really good with Zamek Guildmage. It's just if you want to filter it to draw another card.
That's true.
The mere cost of 3 mana. Plus, you get to untap a creature. Guess we just take the Hydra form here. I don't think we're playing it. Other than that, a bunch of poop left in the pack, as Conley would say. Guildscorn Ward and 10th Street Market, either of which are relevant to our plan.
Or good against us.
Yeah, 10th Street Market, as anticipated, did not ever really see any play. Still yet to have that card played against me. We're going to hide the Bioshift for now. Alright, so we're on to pack 2, and our rare is Immortal Servitude. We also have Arrows of Justice, Crown Ceratok, Hands of Binding, Prophetic Prism, Death Cult Rogue, another burst. I think we probably just take this.
Ceratok?
Yep, Ceratok is a very strong card. It's a worthy 4-drop as it's a 4-mana 4/3 trampler.
Works well with Guildmage, works well with Burst.
Yep, taking it. It's a good 4-drop. Alright, so now we have Luminate Primordial, Cinder Elemental, Balustrade Spy, Greenside Watcher, Sage's Road Denizen.
Kind of like Denizen or Watcher, I guess.
So we don't have a 3-drop. We could take the Denizen. I'm not opposed to that. Watcher definitely works better if you have Gates. We do have quite a few blue creatures right now. More blue creatures than green. Greenside Watcher is a 2-drop, which is nice, but You know, I think it's early enough where you can pick up a couple denizens and be happy about it. And it works better with the pit fight anyway.
You can get Frilled Oculus and feel better. Another pit fight.
So now, next pack, the best picks are really not that much beyond a pit fight.
Yeah.
Just a pit fight and like a bunch of junk.
It is junk.
So pit fight is an excellent pick there. Happy to take it. Next, we've got a Gruul Guildgate. We also have fairly late Skyjack, Simic Keyrune, and not much else for us. I think we're just taking the Gruul Guildgate actually over the Keyrune. I'd rather have the splash for our Rage Beast. So we're taking a Guildgate, and now Greenside Watcher suddenly becomes a little bit better.
Ooh, Frilled Oculus.
So we've got Frilled Oculus, Ivy Lane Denizen. That's about it in terms of stuff we want.
I like Oculus.
Could wield a Voidwalk, which I like for sideboard. Yeah, we'll slam the Oculus here. It's an awesome 2-drop. Next pack, we have not much beyond a Keymaster Rogue. I don't like to play them in multiples, but if we pick up more denizens, it could become a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's okay.
We'll take it.
Shamble Shark.
Next, just a Shamble Shark. Not much competition in the pack at all, actually. Just a bunch of junk beyond the Shamble Shark. So it looks like we drafted the right colors, thankfully. We've already got
that first Cloudfin Raptor.
We've already got a pretty strong looking pool. Wow.
Second Simic Charm.
Yeah, just slam dunking a Simic Charm here.
We really would want some Drakewing Krasis.
Nothing else super relevant in this pack at all.
Kraken Neuros would be nice.
So we're a little bit short on creatures still, but our spells are excellent. We could use better, just a few more creatures, and I feel really good about this deck. I feel like it's shaping up to be a really strong deck.
I want Krasis and Denizen.
Yeah, Drakewing Krasis would be nice. Even more Sage's Row Denizens I'm fine with. Even Ivy Lanes I would accept. I do like Realm Right still in this deck if we're going to make the 3-color thing work. In between a Guildgate and a Realm Right, I might be more willing to splash another red card. But so it looks like we wield both a Hands of Binding and a Prophetic Prism. We're going to take the Hands of Binding. Yep. We don't actually have a ton of evasion beyond the double Rogue. I guess we have Mind Eye Drake too, but Hands of Binding is just very strong, so I'm happy to take it. Now we have Boros Keyrune, Bioshift Riot Gear. I guess we take the Riot Gear.
Yeah.
Could do the Rock, actually. Maybe the Rock would have been the better idea because it splashes the Rage Beast, but that's okay.
Clinging in enemies here.
Yep.
We're
just
low
a bunch
on
of
creatures.
Yep, just a bunch of junk. May have to play the Clinging Anemones. We're not sure yet. So right now we're at 12 creatures, but I would like to not have to play the. I think I'm gonna hide the Anemones for now. I'd very much like to not have to play the double Keymaster Rogue too, but may not get that luxury. So we got a super late Simic Keyrune. Happy to take that. It's gonna. I think we have to play it too. I really want to be able to get to our Rage Beast. Serene Remembrance just to cut green more than we already have. Guildscorn Ward and a Shattering Blow. So nothing super relevant towards the end. We're looking at about 20 playables at the moment, and we have an entire pack left. So we're in a good spot.
Oh wow.
Wow. Consuming Aberration is the rare we open. Calls and Nightwing is also in here. Gore-Clan Rampager, Slaughterhorn. I think we could take the Rampager. I don't think it's too greedy, actually. It is really that strong. We could also just take the Slaughterhorn, but I really think a 4/4 Trampler is that much better, to be honest, than a 3/2, especially when you're running double Pit Fight. I think we're going to try and make this Gore-Clan Rampager work, even though, you know, obviously it's going to force us a little bit deeper red. I think Rampager's worth it, especially alongside the Rage Beast. So I'm not thrilled about passing Consuming Aberration, but it's just not part of our plan. Alright, so now we have Shamble Shark, Rust Scarab, Watcher, Diluvian Primordial, but I'd rather have the Shamble Shark or the Rust Scarab. I think I actually want the Shamble Shark.
Yeah, I think so too.
We want the... Yeah, it's sad because I'd really like the Rust Scarab too, but Shamble Shark is just such a strong card.
Drakewing.
Alright, so we've got Drakewing Crisis. There's also, just to note, Glaring Spotlight, Simic Guildgate, Dimir Guildgate,
Watcher,
and a foil Dimir Guildgate, or else that wouldn't have even been possible. and an Adaptive Snapjaw. But we're definitely slamming the Dracewing Krace. It's just such a staple of Simic. Wow,
Shamble Shark,
really,
Croconura.
yeah, really strong pack for us here. Hands of Binding, Shamble Shark, Croconura. I think
feel like-
yeah, we need to. Usually when you're Simic, you want to diversify as much as possible. So
Croconura.
we want the
But there's
Croconura.
potential the Shamble Shark actually wheels, or the Simic Guildgate. Because I feel like we might be the only people in Simic because there were no Dracewings the first
And we were
pack
seeing
or
very
second
late. Yeah,
pack.
we saw very late Simic signs.
Yeah.
But happy to take Croconura there. Okay, now we have another
Pit
pit.
fight.
Yeah, a third pit fight. There's also a
Wasteland
Wasteland Viper, but I think we go third pit fight at this point. It's just
Viper does go well with Shamble Shark though, too.
I agree, but pit fight to me is just too strong
Okay.
of a card for
Okay.
Simic. It is like the premium Simic, the best Simic removal spell I think you can
And now
get.
that we have Croconura, and
Yeah.
it's actually a little better.
And guys that get fed early. Like, we can hide Spell Rupture now. We don't need to play that.
Frilled Oculus works really well with pit fights.
Yes, I agree. We can hide one of our Keymaster Rogues. So we still need a couple more creatures. All right, we got a Sage's Road Denizen. There's also Urban Evolution and a Verdant Haven. Verdant Haven, I'm not opposed to for splashing the Rampage.
But I actually want the
But
Denizen.
yeah, we want the Denizen because it evolves everything and just
It's a
randomly
creature.
milling. Yeah, it's relevant. All right, so now we have Verdant Haven, Voidwalk, or Keymaster Rogue. You know, we could play the Verdant Haven.
Let's do that.
It's possible we play it. So, taking the Verdant Haven.
Nimbus Swimmer.
All right, we have Nimbus Swimmer, which is going to be rewards for playing the Verdant Haven and the Simic Key Rune. So I think we'll take the Nimbus Swimmer here. There's really not much else for us, actually. Pretty happy to take that. Nothing left after that pick. I guess we'll just take this randomly against the fast Boros deck. We just took a Founder Street Denizen. Nothing really relevant here. This could be good against us, potentially.
Ooh, there we go.
All right, so table is Simic Guildgate and an Adaptive Snapjaw. Let's take the Guildgate.
Yeah, we have plenty of creatures at this point.
Yep, I want to make our mana base work. Oh,
Another one?
Yep.
Let's take it.
Took another Simic Guildgate, so now we have an excellent mana base. Would have been nice to get a couple Greenside Watchers, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain. We're still fine. And we're going to be able to easily splash for our red spells.
You think we want to play one mountain still?
Possibly.
And do Realm Raid, I guess?
I got to think about that. But Razor Tip Whip, Guildscorn Ward, doesn't matter. Not playing them. We also got a Rapid, too. We have an amazing amount of powerful spells in here. Triple Pit Fight, Rapid, Hybridization, Burst of Strength, Double Simic Charm is like out of control spells. So, plus Gruul Rage Beast to top it all off. So after we've done...
We fight with everything, basically.
And actually, Simic Charm and Pit Fight are just excellent together. If your opponent's tapped out and you have that opportunity, it can be really, really devastating. I think we've even gone all in on that before, where it's like hump this guy, swing here, fight that. So ended up with an excellent pool. We're going to build the deck right now. Burst of Strength, Croconura, Verdant Haven, Crown Ceratok, Adaptive Snapjaw, Pit Fight, Rage Beast, Rampager, Swimmer,
Dracewing.
Guildmage, Simic Charms, Shamble Sharks, Rapid, Realm Right, tons of good playables. We're going to be in a very good position to cut cards this deck. We may not even need the Rogue, to be honest. Yeah, in fact, we're at 24
without the Simic Key Rune.
Without the Simic Key Rune, without the Keymaster Rogues. So, are any of these cards cuttable?
And we have 15 creatures right now.
Yeah. We can separate the spells out a little bit, because we do have tons and tons of spells. We don't have a ton of evasion for Hands of Binding.
Hands?
We don't have a ton of evasion for it, is kind of the problem.
Yeah, we already
have Mind Eye Drake, Nimbus Swimmer, and we're not playing the...
But we already have tons of...
And like, Dracewing, too. Dracewing's very good with it.
We have hard removal, though.
Yeah, so we may not...
Fights and Rapid.
I agree. I don't think we need the Hands of Binding in this deck, so we can cut that. Do we want to play it like this? This is a pretty good pool in itself. We could actually cut the Snapjaw for either for the Key Rune, but that doesn't make a ton of sense because the Snapjaw is a good creature to go into. So I think we either cut the Verdant Haven or we cut the Key Rune. Which would you prefer to cut?
I'd rather have the Verdant Haven.
I think we need the Verdant Haven to
Yeah.
be able to play the Rage Beast and
The Keyring
Rampager.
doesn't combo well with anything in our deck.
Yep,
either.
Rampager consistently. So I'm happy with this build. So we're not playing much for red. Just it looks like the Rage Beast and Rampager. The plus side of Pit Fight is that
We can
it's going to
play
be
it for red.
less strenuous on our mana base.
But like we can also still play a mountain because
Yep.
we can still use it for
and
Pit Fight.
we also have triple Guildgate. So we could play the mountain. Let's see what they suggest. They suggested 3 mountains, which we don't need. So let's see. This is 50. This is too many lands. We're slightly more
We have
blue
3
than.
green sources already. Also,
I see. Okay, so we can cut a green source, and then we have 9 green sources,
9 blue
9 blue sources, and 2 red sources,
plus the Verdant.
and plus the Realm Right too. So
Yeah.
we've got some good mana fixing here. I think I'm comfortable with our mana base like this.
I think it looks good.
Okay, so let's go over the entire deck that we've got. I'm pretty happy with this build, by the way. Burst of Strength, Rapid Hybridization, Realm Right at 1. Triple Pit Fight, double Simic Charm, a Frilled Oculus, double Shamble Shark, and a Zamek Guildmage at 2. 2 Sage's Road Denizen, Drakewing Krasis, Croconura, Verdant Haven, Crown Ceratok, Gorkland Rampager, Adaptive Snapjaw, Mind Eye Drake, Gruul Rage Beast, Nimbus Swimmer. Really powerful looking deck. Zamek Guildmage plays really well alongside Rage Beast too, I feel like.
Good
Like
with
activate it, 3 times, then play your cheap creature that comes in.
Yeah,
That works, right? I
Yeah.
mean, so
and good with Rampager too, just to like put a counter on him when he comes out or whatever.
we have an excellent mana base with this deck. We have a Gruul Guildgate, 2 Simic Guildgates, 7 islands, 1 mountain, 6 forests. So very much like the way this deck looks. We have good mana sinks. Absolutely a 17 land deck in my mind, with a 7-drop and an X spell creature. So and the mana sink of Zamek Guildmage. Yeah, this is definitely a 17 land deck.
And Nimbus Swimmer is so good with Gruul Rage Beast too.
Really nice deck. I'm excited to play this. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast.
Thanks for watching.
Subscribe to our Twitter feed at SeemsGoodMagic. I'd love to be able to update you immediately when we do live streams, or when I put up a draft video, or when Jake starts recording maybe, or puts up his draft videos, or puts up his commander videos, anything like that. We could have at SeemsGoodMagic. If you subscribe to our Twitter, we'll inform you, we'll tweet you. So it automatically tweets whenever we do a new one. So do that. Go to SeemsGoodMagic.com. You support us by watching our videos, buying from the store, tons of singles online. I'm just trying to put out as much content for you guys as I can. You guys motivate me to keep going. I love the comments. I love the feedback. Email me at mortarpod@seemsgoodmagic.com about this podcast. If you have any criticisms or anything you think we could improve on, I'd like to get the sound quality better. I plan on investing more money into this to make it more quality for you guys. So enjoyed it. Fun video podcast. I love doing these. We'll see you next week.
Bye.